in women's sports? You cited that they have higher testosterone levels.
One of about 50 characteristics. Also lung density. Men's hearts are bigger. Okay. We have greater bone density, muscle mass.
Okay,
tend to be faster, tend to be stronger.
I understand. But like those factors all come from the hormones during the development process, correct?
No, not necessarily. No.
I mean, most of them do.
Well, not all of them. So, for example, you could try to pump a young girl's body with testosterone at 8 years old, and you can get them stronger. You cannot necessarily get them on par with a biological male at puberty. You cannot. You could try.
Okay, but like...
Because there's something in the coding of our genetics.
Right, the coding of our genetics, which is often like controlled by like different, like, I guess, parts of our DNA and also the hormones that are produced that affect the effective coding
we're
of how...
More than endocrinology, but it's a big part. Because, for example, if you just give a kid testosterone, that doesn't even get them close to becoming a male, or estrogen giving them a female.
Okay.
They might get characteristics that are close to that.
Right, okay.
But it doesn't, for example,
but I mean, like, there's no perfect image of, like, this is what a female looks like, this is what a male looks like. Like, we all get our periods at different ages, some of us, like, and also, like, for example, like, there are many circumstances where womanhood is just not one thing, right? It's a multitude of experiences that every single person...
Can you define what womanhood is? That's an interesting question for you.
Well, no, I can't define what womanhood is. And the reason why is because it's something that's an individual experience for every single person, right? Like, my experiences, what I have experienced throughout my life is not going to be the same as another woman who may have grown up in a different environment.
We have disagreement, but not clarity. I say that being a woman or womanhood is an objective thing.
Right, but
it's objective outside of one's own opinions or experiences.
So, but are we at the point where we're discussing where this is like not something based on your chromosomes, but something maybe based on a construct?
Well, no, it also can be objectively witnessed in empirical ways, in biological ways, in scientific ways.
Okay, so to clarify, we're still discussing whether womanhood is on chromosomes or not.
If you'd like to discuss that, it's deeper than just chromosomes.
Right. I'm just trying to define exactly.
For example, if we look at SPECT scans or brain scans of men and women, 98% of the time, artificial intelligence can tell you which one is the men and which one is the female.
Okay.
So our different parts of our brains fire. So for men, for example, our amygdalas are not as high working as women. You know what amygdala is the threat assessment part of your brain.
Obviously, like your birth, so there's a difference between the concept for what sex is, which is a biological aspect, and what gender is, which is a social construct.
I reject gender completely as a different word. It's really personality.
So that's where the debate is. Yes. The existence of gender.
Gender means personality.
Okay.
I don't doubt that biological men might
how would you define race on that point?
How would you define race? Well, race is a very difficult topic.
Okay, because I think that it's a really important thing to discuss when it comes to terms of this.
If I draw blood...
Is it ethnic lines?
If you have a blood sample of a black individual and a white individual, I can't tell you which one is which. If I have a blood sample of a man and a woman, I can tell you which one is which, just by running very simple elementary blood tests. So, for example, if there was a Hispanic or a white, there is no difference in the genetic coding. There just isn't.
Why is it important that someone's... okay.
My next claim is that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate.
Oh, shit.
Yes, move. Buffalo Trace is perfectly
Damn. Let's see how this goes.
A lot of competition, Mason.
Yeah, exactly.
Good to see you.
Good to see you again.
Can I define what a DEI candidate is?
I think that you're going to say because she's black and she's a woman, she was appointed because Joe Biden promised that, and it is not a testament to her success.
Not only that, but also in her getting the nomination, the Democrat Party, they said repeatedly, we do not want to pass over a black female.
Okay.
So just those two things, but the first one is stronger. You're right. Joe Biden's criteria was, and that was like Karen Bass and Kamala Harris. Okay. So she was not chosen because of her intellect or her accomplishments or because of any of that. It was because she happened to fit a couple boxes. In fact, Amy Klobuchar, the vetting at the time was that Amy Klobuchar would have been a better, and Kamala ended up getting it. So it's just a statement of fact that she is there not because of her brilliance or accomplishments, but because of her ethnicity.
So Kamala Harris, first and foremost, there are a lot of criticisms that you can give to her on why she wouldn't be an effective president. It shouldn't be because she's a woman or because she's black. And it seems to be that you're saying that.
No, I just want people to understand and agree she didn't earn this.
She absolutely did. She has a career where she's been not only a DEA.
DEI stands for
one of the biggest.
Didn't earn it, just so we're clear.
But like it stands for diversity, equity, inclusion. I like the meme though.
I know what it is. But do you at least admit that when Joe Biden was searching for a VP, he cared more about skin color and a female than the smartest, best person.
So the whole conversation
You
with
at
this
least agree with that?
affirmative action with DEI, the whole reason why people bring it in is to make this imaginary scenario that there's a super qualified white man who was overpassed by this unqualified, stupid idiot
Well, hold on.
person
But
of color,
his own-
which is such
his
a
own-
terrible
his own team
analogy
said that.
because it's not true.
His own team
It's
said
absolutely
it.
not true.
But Mason,
That's not what it is.
his
Joe
own
Biden
team-
did not say, I'm going to choose an unqualified person
hold on.
and just
His
because
own
she's black.
team, his own team
He's
said
saying that I'm going to have two qualified people. If one comes from a different experience, it might be better to
No,
have a
that's not what
diversity
he
and
said.
have a better perception.
He said
in forms
he
of
said
government.
at the South Carolina
These are
debate that I will pick a black woman as my vice president. Secondly, Amy Klobuchar came out.
Is this a random black
Can I-
woman
can I
that you
finish?
plucked off the street?
Can I
Or is this a
finish?
qualified DEA
Can I finish?
general attorney
I-
who's had a decorated career
I'd like to
leading
finish my
government
thoughts.
positions?
Right,
But you
right.
can, but you keep rambling about things that
Well,
just aren't relevant to what we're talking about.
It is relevant. Amy Klobuchar in vetting came across as the more qualified candidate.
Why?
Because they said Kamala Harris wasn't very smart, wasn't very bright. That's their own vetting documents.
From
who? Joe
Which is-
Biden's own vetting documents
So
show
why would he go against that?
because the base of the Democrat Party demands tribal politics and DEI politics
That's-
over competency.
That's
Yes,
completely
he
inaccurate.
stated to Jim Clyburn said, I will only endorse you in the South Carolina primary if you say that you're going to put a black person, preferably a black man, your ticket with you. Therefore, you winnow the entire universe down and
When
say,
I was-
I'm only going to choose from this criteria. And let's just think more broadly. If you're
Okay.
about to have heart surgery, would you rather have a heart surgeon that's good and excellent, knows what he's doing, or someone that is a black female?
So,
And being president is more important than being a heart surgeon.
aren't you on record saying that you'd be terrified if there was a black pilot?
Yeah,
that was,
why?
Okay, cool.
What was the full quote?
I personally, I don't know.
So,
Panel.
Yeah, so this ties into this. United Airlines said that half of all their new hirees are going to be black or women, and that standards and pursuit of excellence is not going to be taken as seriously as diversity. When I'm flying a plane, I want to know my pilot is there because they're a good pilot, not because they fit some DEI box.
Damn it, I wish we could have a better
Thanks.
conversation.
I'm sorry, man. Fast, man.
Okay, so let's say that Kamala Harris was the DEI hire as vice president. Do you think she's also a DEI hire as the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, they decided to go to her almost immediately because she is the VP, but also because she fits some criteria boxes. But let me
You don't think it's because Joe Biden nominated or
No,
said
for
he
sure,
wanted-
that's part of it. Of course it is. But let me ask you, what's her greatest achievement or accomplishment?
her greatest achievement or accomplishment? I'd say her greatest achievement or accomplishment is completely destroying the Republican Party within like 2 weeks of being nominated.
How is
Like
she-
in the polls, she's just absolutely.
Huh? Sorry. How are you? Nice to see you. What's your name?
Amanda. So you believe because Kamala is black and a woman, she was chosen for
It's not
vice
my own
president?
belief. Her own team, Joe Biden said that. He said,
Joe
I
Biden
chose.
said that?
Yeah, he said, I'm first, because beforehand he said, I'm going to choose a black female for vice president. He didn't say, I'm going to choose the most gifted or the most talented or the most accomplished. He said, I'm going to choose a black female.
Mhm.
And so by definition, that is DEI.
That is not the definition of DEI. By him saying that he was going to choose a black female, that could insinuate that he already had Kamala in mind for the role. No way does that insinuate that she's DEI.
Well, what is DEI then?
DEI would be,
Choosing somebody based on their race?
no, it's giving people of color the opportunity to be welcomed into spaces in which they
Like
typically
Kamala
aren't
Harris?
able to get
There's
into.
never been a female black vice president.
And why do you think that is?
Well, not why. You just said that's DEI.
Uh,
So by definition, she's DEI.
Okay, so she represents diversity within the government,
Well,
is
no,
what
but
you're
you're saying
saying.
she got elevated because she was
No.
a black female. Because
If that were the case, I'd be the president right now.
do you
Like-
think Kamala Harris was chosen because of her intelligence?
Her qualifications and her intelligence.
Really? Wow.
If you
What's her
compare
great-
a
what's her
speech
greatest
with
accomplishment?
Kamala,
What's her greatest
probably
accomplishment?
being prosecutor within the Northern Californian
You
area.
mean letting out violent criminals and turning San Francisco one of the most murderous, dangerous, arson-filled, homeless-filled slums in the country?
Wow.
That's her greatest accomplishment?
See, I actually went to UC Berkeley, so I lived there. I don't know if you did. I went around the
Berkeley
area.
is a slum.
Berkeley is a slum. Have you stepped into Berkeley?
Yes, I have. You think Oakland and Berkeley?
Have you lived in Berkeley?
Do you,
I've lived as well.
do you think,
in your
you think the Bay
information,
Area is like a good area in this country?
I'm from Vegas, so I'm not from the Bay. Born and raised in Vegas and went to UC Berkeley. Just graduated this year. What you're saying, literally in no way, shape,
So I
or
just
form
want to be
makes
clear.
sense.
So you think her overseeing San Francisco becoming the laughingstock of the country is
San
her greatest
Francisco is not
accomplishment?
the laughingstock of the country. If anything, that's Florida. No offense. But
Well, hold on. If that's the case, why are millions of people moving to Florida and millions of people leaving California?
because there are cheaper rates there. People are moving to Las Vegas.
Hold on.
Las Vegas
Hold
has
on a
changed as a
second.
whole.
It's cheaper because it's a better run state and we don't give money to
Listen,
it.
Northern California is not all. Northern
California.
California is not the entirety of California.
Hold on a second, but
there's Southern California, Northern California.
why is it that
it's
so
a very
many
big
businesses
state.
are leaving San Francisco if she did such a great job lowering crime?
Do you know businesses go where things are cheapest to operate?
Why are they cheaper? Because they're better run states.
Do you realize that California is one of the most populated states within the U.S., so obviously
So is
costs are going
Texas
to be
and
higher.
California.
Not only that, but land within this state is also very, very, very minimal. So that's...
Well, hold on, you have tons of land. You're one of the biggest states in
Yes,
the
it is
country.
one of the biggest lands, but do you also take into account the population that's here?
Yes,
And do
Florida and
that...
Texas have a greater combined population than California. California has more population and more land mass than Florida. Why is it that San Francisco has a declining population and Miami, Tampa, Orlando have an increasing
What
population?
does this have to do with DEI?
Because she ran San Francisco poorly and she was chosen as a VP because she was...
Lawyer moves, lawyer moves. This is what America made off of debate, right? This is what America made off of debate, okay? Freedom of speech, right? We made the debate teams. We made this, we made that. So if we made a debate team in college, why are we here now?
a black
She
woman.
didn't run San Francisco poorly.
She was the DA of San Francisco.
So
and then
she's prosecuted.
And then she became the AG of California, where crime went up, homelessness went up, arson went up, kidnapping went
She's
up,
not the
murder went up.
police. Isn't that the job of the
Hold on a
police
second.
to get the criminals and for her?
The attorney general of the state is the top cop of the state.
Yes.
And what did she do to lower crime in California?
She convicted those who were guilty.
Why did crime go up?
Because as the population increases and
Then-
this economy gets worse,
Why is
as
Florida,
the economy
Florida's
gets worse,
crime rate going
people
down?
are becoming more and more desperate, which leads to lots of crime.
Thank you.
Mine will be quick. Mine will be really quick.
Go ahead.
Okay, so real quick, you're saying that the only reason she was elected is because she's black?
Well, first
So
of all,
that trumps her being a district attorney and all
First
the
of all, this is
accomplishments
not
she
my
has?
words. I'm just going on Joe Biden's own words.
Okay.
Joe Biden said, I'm going to preset criteria based on black women, and therefore she met that criteria, and that's why she was selected.
No, why? I think what he was trying to say is, she was just black. She was just calling her black. She's not saying he's not saying I'm doing this because she's black. That's not what she said.
He made a public promise before the selection even began and the process began. I will put a black woman on the ticket.
So you're saying her being district attorney doesn't matter. That's not why.
No,
But yet
I'm saying
Trump
she did an awful
being
job.
a failed businessman and making all the weird comments he's made,
Well, hold on a
that
second.
doesn't have any,
What I'm getting at, though, is that if she was not a black woman, she never would have been chosen as vice president. Her record was abysmal. She was a terrible attorney general of California. She did poorly.
Pay for all this.
Sheesh. Damn. Alright. Man, I'm loving a debate though. They debating like a motherfucker. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with a debate. God dang, these people out here. I don't know. Shoot, is it in the air? I mean, let's see what's going on. God damn it. People can't even debate. People out here going crazy. People can't even have freedom of speech. This is just terrible.
I'll be quick.
I'm so sorry.
She gets the next one.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
All right.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just have to know. Do you think Tim Walz is a DEI
Yes.
candidate? Okay. I just wanted to see if
No,
you're consistent on that.
DEI does not mean black. Tim Walz was only chosen because the Democrat Party is doing so poorly with white men that they tried to find a white man that they could put on the ticket.
But then also,
It's true. Tim Walz is the first white DEI candidate in history.
Okay, in the Democratic primaries, Kamala Harris was
it's true.
performing incredibly
He
well,
agrees.
and she wasn't performing well in the primaries just because she was black. She was performing well in the primaries because during her time as a senator, she spoke incredibly eloquently.
Wait,
I used to watch it.
Hold on a second. How did she do in the Democrat primaries?
She did like much better than Amy Klobuchar.
Hold on a second. She didn't even make it to Iowa. She dropped out months ahead of the first primary. She was super unpopular, not well liked. Her campaign fizzled out. So she was
popular
awful.
initially.
Initially, yes. And then the more people learned about her, the more realized she was awful.
Well, it was mostly because like progressives are really upset about her being a DA, which like can be like that's a completely different conversation.
Why aren't progressives upset at that now?
I mean, they are, but
they are. That's news to me.
But
everyone's talking about how great a prosecutor she is.
Progressives are definitely upset about the like how like the Biden administration has handled like the atrocities in Gaza and how like there are definitely things that Democrats are upset about. However, that's not the point of this conversation. And
That's correct. That is not the point.
That's not the point. What the point is that a lot of
Aw, thanks, guys. Okay. Hi, how you doing?
Great.
So, you keep saying that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, and I feel like my main fallacy with this argument is that competency can't be objectively determined because we all have subjective definitions of what a competent politician is. But my question for you is if Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, why is she beating Trump in the polls right now?
We'll see what happens in November.
Okay, but she's currently beating Trump in the polls. So either
if the polls are right, I grant you
he
that.
is incompetent,
or maybe she's a new candidate with a big surge.
She's doing good.
I would caution you being a little, like, at this point in the election, getting too cocky, because we remember what happened.
I'm not getting cocky. I'm asking you to answer a question. If she is incompetent.
Come back to that. Let's listen to that part. That's that part right there. That's the part. Let's listen to that part.
Aw, thanks, guys. Okay. Hi, how you doing?
Great.
So, you keep saying that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, and I feel like my main fallacy with this argument is that competency can't be objectively determined because we all have subjective definitions of what a competent politician is. But my question for you is if Kamala Harris is beating Trump in the polls right now.
We'll see what happens in November.
Okay, but she's currently beating Trump in the polls. So either
if the polls are right, I grant you that.
He is incompetent.
Or maybe she's a new candidate with a big surge.
She's doing good.
I would caution you being a little, like, this point in the election, getting...
You a brave guy, you know what I'm saying, to debate these kids. On that note, like, you gotta be a brave guy to do, because, listen, everybody got a different opinion about everything. Like, that's the whole thing. It'll turn into the group will have a bad opinion about the people in the group. So everybody have a different opinion about everything. It takes some guts for a motherfucker to sit back. He got 25 kids. He's sitting here, you know what I'm saying, debating with. Now, he wrong as a motherfucker, but he debating like hell with these kids. These kids slamming the hell out of him.
Too cocky, because we remember what happened with...
I'm not getting cocky. I'm asking you to answer a question. If she is incompetent, how could she beat the president, who you said is an amazing president?
As of the timing of this filming, can you name to me how many times she sat down for an interview?
What?
She refuses to talk to the press, refuses to take questions. She's done not one sit-down interview in nearly 25 days at the filming of this interview, mind you.
I think that is a very weird point to make.
Well,
why would I count how many times Kamala Harris has had an interview?
Because she refuses to take questions from the press and media? Like, shouldn't you do that if you're the sitting vice president?
She's...
He actually did 3 last Sunday and 1 today with Meet the Press.
So the qualification of a good president is to take an interview?
If you can't take a single question. But let me ask you this, because it's on you. What's her greatest accomplishment as vice president?
As vice president? Being the first female all-black president. We've never had that before.
No, like, I got that, but like, what's her accomplishment that made people's lives better?
I don't know. Vice presidents don't really do much, to be honest.
Can you name one thing she's done that's good?
No, probably not. Thank you. The inflation.
For inflation?
Brad
Nice
Brady.
to meet
Nice to meet you. I like the idea. 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. I think the best thing I could say about this is you have your opinion and I can have mine. You believe that Donald Trump was a good president. I maybe don't believe that. You believe that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate for the position of president. I don't believe that. What I'm getting to is, what do you gain from this? If I concede and say that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, what do you gain? Because I know what it is. You're baiting us into rage so that you can make money on your TikTok account. You're baiting college students all over the world into arguing with you over these fallacies. You throw a red herring out there, and you're making money from this account while we're sitting here and looking stupid.
First of all, I don't control this account. I'm a guest here. This is Jubilee Media, and they're going to edit it as they see fit. Okay, number one. Number two, it needs to be acknowledged that she didn't earn it. She didn't win a Democrat primary. She dropped out in the Democrat primary in 2020. She's never been like...
Damn. Y'all just like, hold up, man. We need to get paid. Hold up, man. Where's my money? Hold up. Where's my money at?
Believe that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate for the position of president. I don't believe that. What I'm getting to is, what do you gain from this? If I concede and say that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, what do you gain? Because I know what it is. You're baiting us into rage so that you can make money on your TikTok account. You're baiting college students all over the world into arguing with you over these fallacies. You throw a red herring out there, and you're making money from this account while we're sitting here and looking stupid.
First of all,
where's my money? He called about. Hold on, man. You get paid. You try to use us? Nah, bro. Hold on, you try to play us out here.
Donald Trump was a good president. I maybe don't believe that. You believe that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate for the position of president. I don't believe that. What I'm getting to is, what do you gain from this? If I concede and say that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, what do you gain? Because I know what it is. You're baiting us into rage so that you can make money on your TikTok account. You're baiting college students all over the world into arguing with you over these fallacies. You throw a red herring out there, and you're making money from this account while we're sitting here and looking.
Damn. Where my money? Hold on, nigga. Hold on. I scoped you out. I see what it is. You try and get us to, It's always one. There's always one in the room, man. There's always. Hey, man, there's always one in the room, man. Fuck off. Oh, man. It is always one in the room. I ain't no game about this, man. Scope how he do this. This is outrageous.
lower inflation.
Oh, man.
What's your name?
Brad
Nice
Brady.
to meet
Nice to meet you. I like the idea. 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. I think the best thing I could say about this is you have your opinion and I can have mine. You believe that Donald Trump was a good president. I maybe don't believe that. You believe that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate for the position of president. I don't believe that. What I'm getting to is, what do you gain from this? If I concede and say that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, what do you gain? Because I know what it is. You're baiting us into rage so that you can make money on your TikTok account. You're baiting college students all over the world into arguing with you.
Where's my money, bruh? He scoped out. He like, man, well, hold on, fuck all the other shit. Like, man, where's my money? Like, you making money off of TikTok, man. Like, you think we stupid?
Over these fallacies, you throw a red herring out there, and you're making money from this account while we're sitting here and looking stupid.
First of all, I don't control this account. I'm a guest. This is Jubilee Media, and they're going to edit it as they see fit. Okay, number one. Number two, it needs...
Like, man, I ain't trying to hear, like, man, where my money? Where my money at? Where is my cash? I mean, it's reality, man. If you get mad at what's already out there that people are looking at it in the world, man, you got to be crazy. You know what I mean? You get mad. This is like the whole thing with dude that's doing Jimmy off the show. Like the whole thing with that. Come on, man. It's reality, man. You can't get mad at the facts. This man just fact checked the whole hell out of him. Like, come on, man. Stop playing with me. Let's go back.
I don't believe that. What I'm getting to is, what do you gain from this? If I concede and say that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, what do you gain? Because I know what it is. You're baiting us into rage so that you can make money on your TikTok account. You're baiting college students all over the world into arguing with you over these fallacies. You throw a red herring out there, and you're making money from this account while we're sitting here and looking stupid.
First of all, I don't control this account. I'm a guest.
Wow. Bruh, you got the kids mad, man. Hold on. You got the kids mad. He got the kids mad, bruh. Look. You got the kids mad, eh?
Donald Trump was a good president. I maybe don't believe that. You believe that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate for the position of president. I don't believe that. What I'm getting to is, what do you gain from this? If I concede and say that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, what do you gain? Because I know what it is. You're baiting us into rage so that you can make money on your TikTok account. You're baiting college students all over the world into arguing with you over these fallacies.
Damn. Shoosh. Sheesh, the scheme. He done told his scheme. Whoa, he done told what's really going on. What's really going on? What is really going on? What is really going on? You got outthrown by some children, and we don't like that. We don't like that. You got your embarrass. We're gonna throw you out the group. We're gonna have one of the kids blow his fucking brain.
You throw a red herring out there, and you're making money from this account while we're sitting here and looking stupid.
First of all,
hold on. And look, I wasn't trying to do that. I was
the best thing I could say about this is, you have your opinion, and I can have mine. You believe that Donald Trump was a good president. I maybe don't believe that. You believe that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate for the position of president. I don't believe that. What I'm getting to is, what do you gain from this? If I concede and say that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, what do you gain? Because I know what it is. You're baiting us into rage so that you can make money on your TikTok account. You're baiting college.
Damn. Look, stop playing with me, man. You debating with college students to make money off your TikTok account.
Students all over the world into arguing with you over these fallacies. You throw a red herring out there, and you're making money from this account while we're sitting here and looking stupid.
First of all, I don't control this account.
He's like, hold up, man. There's always one in the group. There's always one like, hold up, man. Look, I need my money. Like, man, you got me sitting here, you wasting my time, and you trying to use us and use my time up and shit, and you making money in the background, and I ain't making shit. So I need my cash, man. Fuck that.
My guest here. This is Jubilee Media, and they're gonna edit it as they see fit. Okay, no.
I gotta play that one more time. He's smart as shit. He ain't no dummy.
One thing she's done that's good.
No, probably not. Thank you.
Did that lower inflation?
Common sense.
What's your name?
Brad
Nice
Brady.
to meet
Nice to
you.
meet
All
you.
the sense.
I like the idea. 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off.
Let's do
I think the best thing I could say about this is, you have your opinion, and I can have mine. You believe that Donald Trump was a good president. I maybe don't believe that. You believe that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate for the position of president. I don't believe that. What I'm getting to is, what do you gain from this? If I can
Fuck all that.
concede and say that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, what do you gain? Because I know what it is. You're baiting us into rage so that you can make money on your TikTok account. You're baiting college students all over the world into arguing with you over these fallacies.
Man, you want us to debate debate. These some smart ass kids. You want us to debate about all this small like.
You throw a red herring out there, and you're making money from this account while we're sitting here and looking stupid.
Say it again.
What's your name?
Brad
Nice
Brady. Nice to meet you. I like the idea. 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. I think the best thing I could say about this is you have your opinion, and I can have mine. You believe that Donald Trump was a good president. I maybe don't believe that. You believe that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate for the position of president. I don't believe that. What I'm getting to is, what do you gain from this? If I concede...
Hold on, let's bypass all that. Let's bypass all that bullshit, man. Let's get to the real shit.
DEI candidate, what do you gain? Because I know what it is. You're baiting us into rage so that you can make money on your TikTok account. You're baiting college students all over the world into arguing with you over these fallacies. You throw a red herring out there, and you're making money from this account while we're sitting here and looking stupid.
First of all, I don't...
Damn. Wow. Man, they probably... Look, Donald Trump and them probably dismissed them because he got out-debated by some kids, bro.
I don't believe that. What I'm getting to is, what do you gain from this? If I concede and say that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, what do you gain? Because I know what it is. You're baiting us into rage so that you can make money on your TikTok account. You're baiting college students all over the world into arguing with you over these fallacies. You throw a red herring out there, and you're making money from this account while we're sitting here and looking stupid.
First of all, I don't control this account. I'm a guest here. This is Jubilee Media, and they're going to edit it as they see fit. Okay, number one. Number two, it needs to be acknowledged that she didn't earn it. She didn't win a Democrat primary. She dropped out in the Democrat primary in 2020. She's never been likable. She's got this simply because of race, not because of competency, not because she's good at her job. And I think that's wrong and needs to be called out.
You're bringing up qualitative examples. These are all subjective, qualitative examples. Her race, her competency, her dropping out of the election. That's not what you said earlier. I'm talking about the point.
And these kids ain't trying to hear that shit. They really ain't trying. They like, man, look, stop playing with me, man. What you think, we stupid?
So you've just brought up multiple qualitative points, and these points can be believed by you and not by me, as you believe in a God and I don't. These are qualitative arguments that you're making against me for this, and I can believe differently than you, and I think we can agree to disagree on this one.
Okay, fine.
Perfect.
And it's going to take the entire time.
Yeah,
Welcome. 30 on, 30 off.
How do you feel about the Senate?
As far as her tie-breaking vote of the Senate?
No, I'm just saying like Senate. Like the Senate is technically DEI in a certain sense for like small states. Like Wyoming gets, people in Wyoming get a greater vote than you in California.
Like Rhode Island and Hawaii?
I'm giving you an example. California, I get less of a vote than someone who exists in Wyoming. So we're giving people in Wyoming more say than they necessarily should, given that they're one individual. Believe in DEI as it relates to how our government is set up, but you don't believe in DEI in terms of allowing for people who are black or who are women to be in positions of power that they have not been allowed in, historically speaking.
Man, see, he's sitting there talking with the kids. He try to up it. He try to up it and talk to the kids. Some of the smartest kids that debate on debate teams out there and getting out debated. These some of the smartest kids he talking to. They real smart. So they was picked to talk to him. And they didn't take it easy on him, because they picked some real smart ones to debate them. And the questions that they hitting him with is hardcore.
Wyoming gets, people in Wyoming get a greater vote than you in California.
Like Rhode Island and Hawaii?
I'm giving you an example. California, I get less of a vote than someone who exists in Wyoming. So we're giving people in Wyoming more say than they necessarily should, given that they're one individual. So why do you believe in DEI as it relates to how our government is set up, but you don't believe in DEI in terms of allowing for people who are black or who are women to be in positions of power that they have not been allowed in, historically?
So, is the Electoral College Senate based on race?
This shit is real. You know what I'm saying? This is September. Next month is October. September, October. So, ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. Eesh. Ah. Fuck. Damn. I mean, rest in peace to Charlie Kirk, yeah. You know what I'm saying? I have no bad words to talk about the dead, man. I'm not even, you know what I'm saying, gonna do that. I mean, for real. I'm gonna keep it G with that shit. You know what I mean? Main man was here, now main man gone. You know what I'm saying? All we talking about is when main man was here. So when old boy was here, that's what we talking about. We ain't talking about, oh, he did this or he did that or none of that. Because, people get in their feelings. And it's not even worth to talk about the deed. Hey, that don't even make no sense at all. So to talk about the deed, let the deed be deed. You get what I'm saying? That's just like me. When I die, let me be dead. Like, you die, you dead. It is what it is. When you was here, that's what you did. Boom, 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 boom. That's how it go. So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But people get personal with in their feelings and certain things about certain things. Just like with Donald Trump, I don't know. Some say Donald Trump, his reaction to the situation is like how his father would probably react to him and shit. So I maybe so. Then they probably just heartless. You get what I'm saying? But I know one thing, right? This dude right here just birds the shit out of them, and they don't like to lose.
It's predicated off of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Right, like inclusion of country areas, inclusion of rural areas, inclusion of white men like you.
Okay, so you mean like Hawaii?
I'm referencing. You could say smaller states or places that have less people in it. So obviously would be able to have more of a say per individual.
So your argument is that the U.S. Senate is a DEI. I gotta be honest, I've never heard that argument, but I think it's a little silly. But
how is it silly? Argue against it instead of just saying it's silly.
Well, right. So it's silly on its face because first of all, we have on the House of Representatives a proportional population.
Oh, second, but the Senate isn't. So it's DEI.
It's not DEI.
Yes, it is.
Why would you say it's diversity, equity, inclusion? Because Wyoming gets 2 senators. They're their own sovereign state, aren't they?
For country areas, for rural areas, equity for rural areas.
That's not
right, for smaller states.
So let's go back to the Federalist Papers and the Founding Fathers.
Right. Just like the laws of the power move, man. He done sent, listen. Oh. What did you do to Donald Trump? What did you do to Donald Trump? Let's see. No. Okay, he been debating with young kids. All right. I don't know. It probably wasn't Donald Trump. He been sitting here debating with college kids. They probably just hate him and came up with some kind of plan. Because they had them little things, like little courts and shit in college. They got like college courts and shit. Let's be real. They got like little courts, so they probably came up with an idea to dismiss his ass. That's that's terrible. Damn. I mean, college kids got college cults and shit. Y'all, y'all little motherfuckers crazy. These motherfuckers got little college cults and shit. And dismiss that man. He been sitting around going to college, debating with kids. And the kids ain't digging his swag. And they like, oh shit, man, this nigga a fool. You know what I mean? He's sitting here talking that dumb shit like we some fools, like we some low motherfuckers. I swear this is what it is. And he got swindled in by what he doing and got so deep and debated with some college kids wasn't digging this swag, this part of cults and shit. Yeah. I mean, come on. Let's put it together. He been sitting here debating with these kids. They ain't been liking what he's saying, man. Woof. What's this like 2025? The cult kids. Oh, man. Shit. These some little smart motherfuckers. Hey, I'm sorry, these some smart kids. These some smart kids. These kids smart as hell. Look, they debating with some kids. Their IQ is way up there. You hear what I'm saying? And he's sitting there trying to fake. These kids' IQ is up there. He trying to debate with them. But these kids is part of a cult. They in college.
Why was the Senate composed?
Can you tell me
this
why
way?
it's not DEI? Like, under your definition,
Well,
why is it not DEI?
Because it's not based on race. And by the way,
it doesn't have to be based on race.
It's not based on equity, and it's not based on inclusion.
Can't you have DEI based upon different characters?
They put his ass up against the best. Ain't no game. Shit. Look, please. Man, where the hell y'all find these kids at, man? We're gonna have to put something together, cause the kid he debating with right here, got the green shirt on. I just gotta pause it. I'ma just leave it right there. He got the green shirt on. Ready for war. What the pocket? There. Pocket. We looking at Kirk face. He look like he worried. All right, Kirk kids. Let's check these kids out, Kirk. Man, hold on, look. Y'all have to see this. Cause I can't do it. Y'all have to see this. Y'all have to see. Y'all. Look at the kid though. Alright, look at kid. Look at Kirk face. Look at the kid face. Alright, look at Kirk face. Kirk look worried like shit. Like, oh boy, what I got myself into. Look at the kid face. Listen. Alright. I'm not gonna make no kind of comment, cause my comment is, you know, sometimes you make a comment, people get mad at the motherfucker. People like, well, fuck, we don't care. You know what I'm saying? But you understand, these people be getting mad, make the worst comment. So I try to base, but the kid look like he'll burn that nigga house down. That's what he look like. Like he look like he'll burn his house down. You out here playing with these youngs, like super brainiacs. You playing with the super brainiac kids. Some of them be a little bit off. You know what I'm saying? And they be a little bit off. The super brainiac kids. That's what we gonna call them, the super brainiac kids. They be a little bit off. And they will do the do. But they would do the do. Like I'm looking at the kid and I'm sitting here saying to myself, like, okay, this is a super brainiac kid. Like he a little bit off too. He probably smart, but he probably a little bit off. He look a little crazy. Like he'll burn that nigga house down. Like that's what he look like. That's just what I'm looking at and my assumption of the shit. Like he look like he'll burn your house down. Like that's what he look like. A young super brainiac. So he's sitting here debating with the little young kids, and the little young kids like they part of a whole college cult. You know what I'm saying? And that's who's beefing with them. Young kids. That's crazy. He got torched by some young kids like they came up with a plan to get rid of his ass. And that's outrageous. How the fuck that happened? I mean, we all have our own opinions, but god damn. That's that's serious. Let's figure this one out. Like, I don't even make no motherfucker. You got your own opinions. I mean, hey. Somebody said, man, I'm tired of it. That's what they said. Truth. They said they tired of it. They tired of it. Wow. They said they tired of it. So let me see. So the debate candidate and the 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 discussion is about Kamala Harris, and they about to go in. But Shorty he talking to, Shorty look like a vampire. Like he look like a vampire. Like he look like he play with fire and shit. Like he look like the fire child. And he said here talking to him. He said here talking to the fire child. Man, hold on, hold up. That's wow. Man, kids can be a little bit, man, cruel. There ain't no buzz. Kids can be cruel, bruh. And they fried his ass. I'm not gonna lie. He just got fried by some kids or birds, man. They didn't like what he said. Then some young kid came and took the man life. We gonna have to base this name off of a birdsman. A birdsman. A birdsman. That's the top of the situation. A birdsman. Somewhere, somehow, somewhat, a birdsman is involved in this whole situation. It ain't got nothing to do with no Democrats. X that out. It ain't got nothing to do with a black man. X that out. Politics. Give that a check. Debates. Give that a check. What you have been doing over the past 3 months, the past 2 months, the past month. Get that a check. You've been debating with these damn kids. That's what you've been doing. This is what they showing you doing. This is 1 year ago. You debating with kids. Damn, y'all vicious, young little mother. Y'all some vicious ones. Let me see some. Wow. You've been debating with, hey. Man. I guess they was like, man, look, we gonna be the street justice. We gonna be the street justice. Man. Damn. You know what? Everybody be like, okay, well, call the man a racist and, you know what I'm saying? Everything above. We can call the man a racist, we can call the man whatever. But damn, you know what I'm saying? Listen, we can fight our fights with words. That's what the debate. or we can knuckle up. But after that, like, what is the point of? Because a person feel a sort of way they feel, you gotta dismiss them. Part come in. I, that part, that part right there don't make no motherfucking sense. That mean, so you gotta dismiss a person because they feel the way they feel. How about trying to get them to understand where you coming from? I, what happened to that? Like, even if a motherfucker ain't okay, well, all right, you find a way to get them to understand where you coming from. People just like, man, fuck that. That's that soft shit. Kill them. And that's that soft shit because it don't make no sense. A nonsense ass killing. Like, that's that don't even, it don't even make no money. It don't do nothing for nothing. It don't get nowhere. It's just a nonsense ass killing. A hatred ass killing. That's basically what that is. You know what I'm saying? When people hate, the whole hatred, hate. We're gonna talk about haters. Hatred ass killing. Don't get you nowhere. Either side. You know what I mean? So we got a whole hatred ass killing. That's basically what it is. I have to sum it down to that. Like a whole hatred ass killing. Even though dude was wrong about whatever he had to talk about, I mean, he's saying everybody equal of saying what they feel. You know what I mean? You say what you feel, freedom of speech from every side of the world. But we gonna put the but in it. The but is, man, use common sense. Like, use common sense. And there's no way in hell that a lot of common sense was used, and there's no way, no common sense was used with this. And somebody probably felt embarrassed. Welcome to America. Who is the scumbag? That's what I always want to say. That somebody said that the other day. I was like, oh shit, scumbag. I remember somebody saying that. Who is the scumbag? Yeah, who is the scum? Who the scum? Who the scum? I mean, granted, the man talked about he ain't want to see kids die, you know, killers and thank God, but he just had his vision and his ways twisted. You know what I'm saying? Everybody had their ways twisted. Everybody believed certain things and they ain't got the facts right on the shit and they just go along with the shit. You know what I'm saying? They all do that. Everybody do that. I mean, how can you take up for a racist loyal move? Because it's the end of that man's life. There's no need to cut the man down no more. The man is gone. And that's why the man is out of here. So it ain't no need to even go there anymore. You get what I'm saying? So that's why. That's why. That's because God say, man, once you go, you gone. Once you out of here, you out of here. That's what God say. Once you go, you gone. You out of here. On to the next journey or whatever you may go or see or be or, you know what I mean? So why criticize the man more? We know the man a racist, man. He says some racist shit. We all say some racist shit. It's not no big deal. You know what I mean? See, people want us to be boo-hooing and crying like, oh yeah, this mine, that, but at the end of the day, somebody rocked his bells. And it wasn't us. It wasn't black people. It wasn't a black person. That's something to be proud of, bro. It wasn't a black person that did it. That show a lot. You gotta look into. That's why they say you gotta look into your own group, and that's the point of freedom of speech that somebody didn't like. Check it. Look into your own group before you try to say it was a black. Before you try to say it was this or you that. That's all the man said. I pissed somebody off. I pissed somebody off because he said, look into your own. Look into your own before you look into your own. Damn, I get Jimmy. That's why I fuck with Jimmy. You know what I'm saying? Look into your own before you try to say it was them or that. Look into your own. Whole white man saying this shit. He got fired for that. They burnt them like toast. They made them black. You know what I mean? That's what happened right there. They burnt them like toast and made them black. That's what they call that. But dude been kids, 25 liberal college students. Jubilee, check it out. He been debating with these kids. And you got one that's just smart, but I could look in his eyes and tell he got some fire behind them motherfuckers. You got another one. Look, you can't fool him. These are smart kids, right? And they're in college. And he talking to like 25 of them. But it's like, what? I see one black kid, and an Indian kid, but the rest of the kids is white. And the other kid, this one kid he talking to is a white boy, young male, and boy, he look like he'll burn that nigga house down. He look like, I swear to God, he look like he'll burn his house down. And he giving him mad push and punch. So, listen, it's not no adults that hate this man or went out to do nothing to this man. It's the kids that don't like this man. And I'm saying it. And Charleston White was right. You right. I see what it is. Like, hold up. And he's sitting there talking to some brainiacs. And they melting the shit. They melting them down. Whereas though he can't even get a point across. He's trying to debate with him, but he can't even get a point across. And they crushing him. They crushing him every time. Every time he come up with a subject, every time he come up with anything, everything they come up with got facts. But the anger and the rhythm of the hatred and the feel and he's there. It's like, okay. It's like they caught him, like he's there. He's trying to make some money off them by debating with them. They know this. They brainiac ass kids. They talking about it together like, oh, he think we some fools. You know what I'm saying? Man, we about to burn his ass up. You know what I'm saying? And they came up with an idea to sit down and try to reverse the ordeal on his ass. The whole deal got reversed and made him look like a fool. And that's some genius ass shit from some kids. But then, as we see now, let's go down, this man got polished, killed from a young kid. Mm. Okay, man. It's like the kids probably sat at the round table and just motherfucker came up with the conclusion to wipe him out. Right? I'm telling these colleges known for a little, they start off cults. They the little start off cults. You know what I'm saying? They start off cults. That's what the cults at. They start them off in these motherfucking colleges. You know what I mean? People don't recognize that. Damn. Shit. Start off cults. Go to college. You in college. You join you a little motherfucking cult. You know what I mean? They start off cults. And he's sitting in there talking to a whole 25 of them, 25 kids. Brainiacs. Smart as a motherfucker. IQ above average. Burning his ass up. And I'm looking at them like, nah, all of them look like they little cult kids. Like, they probably put you on the cross and burn you. Looking type ass kids. This is just my eyesight, my opinion of what I'm looking at from looking at motherfucking horror movies, I guess. I don't know, but this is how they look. No disrespect, but these motherfuckers look like they burnt fire child looking ass kids. Like smart, but they look like they ruthless. You know what I'm saying? And he's sitting in the room with them talking to him and shit. Damn, bruh. They came up with the motherfucker. They like, man, I don't even looking at the picture. I'm just stunned, sitting here and thinking about all the shit that the man went through. Even though he racist, everything we throwing that out the window. We looking at the full detail, just like Jimmy. The full detail of this shit. Let's bypass everything. Let's look at this. Let's look at this. He debating with some kids. He got taken out by some kids. The kids burning his ass up. They look like they're in the cold. Okay, all right. No, they look like the fire child. You know what I mean? I don't know. He debating with some gay kids and shit, and let's see, there's other things going on in this whole situation. So he debating with some gay kids. They look like they in college, they in cults and shit. He get popped off by a kid, and they white kids. A couple of little nerdy brainiacs. That shit. Well, that's what it is. You got burnt up by some little brainiac kids in a cult. This part of, I don't know what the fuck. And all over again. Like Marilyn Manson kids or some shit. He got burnt up by Marilyn Manson kids, bro. Like, that's what you got some new ones. The little Marilyn Manson gang. That's what they look. He look like the brand new Marilyn Manson. Hold on. Look at this motherfucker. Hold on, man. They think I'm playing over here. Yeah, dude, like the brand new. He debating with that nigga. He looks scared as shit, like, oh my God. Oh my fuck. I know these little kids got problems. I'm trying to be nice here. The nigga like, I'm gonna burn you up. I'm gonna burn you up. You don't like us. You don't like us. You like that. I swear to God, he look like that, man. Am I tripping like that nigga like Murder Manson, like they cult? Like they got a whole cult going on out there, motherfucker. Like, you don't like us, we're gonna kill you. Man, he got it in with them kids. Them kids was like, man, we ain't with that shit. You know what I'm saying? All Shorty gotta do is put a motherfucking cross on his forehead. It ain't no bullshit. He look like one of the little Murder Manson kids, like a motherfucker. And look, man, you wanna debate? I'll burn your house down, bitch. He look like he crazy as a motherfucker, man. He sitting there debating with them kids, man. And they in college, part of them cults and shit. It wasn't no black people, bruh. We ain't do it. We ain't do it. We can cleanse our sins or we ain't do nothing. You get what I'm saying? We ain't had nothing to do with nothing. Get what I'm saying? We understand you didn't like certain things about black people. We understand this. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't us, all right? So now you can be eased. You know what I mean? Rest in peace. Now, on the other hand, look, he debating with, you know what I'm saying, like Marilyn Manson kids and shit. And they ain't got shit to do with us. Like, if he want to go out and debate with Marilyn Manson kids, look, like, Shorty, I'm not playing. These are the years and the months and who he's talking to. And Shorty look like a little vampire. And he's smart as shit and he breaking them down. Every step that he go.
Let me tell you why. Other than race?
Let me finish.
Whether or not you're a woman? Whether or not...
Let me finish why. It's because we are a collection of states. We are not a federal project. So states' rights usurp federal. Do you know what the 17th Amendment is?
Do you know why the Articles of Confederation failed?
Yes, but what is the 10th Amendment?
Because states had too many rights, had too much power.
What is the 10th
That's why we specifically adopted the Constitution.
Parker, let me make one point, okay? Which is, how did we used to elect senators?
It'd be population.
No, we used to elect senators based on state legislatures. So the Senate is an extension of the state legislative bodies. That's not DEI, that's federalism. No. That's the way that our system is set up, which is a bottom-up, citizen-led government to allow the states, which are first and foremost sovereign. So it goes in this ladder in this country.
That's still DEI for the states
citizens,
and for those country areas.
No, because it's colorblind. It's not that,
DEI is not only based on race.
hold on a second.
Diversity for country, diversity for rural, equity
Hold on-
for
hold on a
rural,
second.
and inclusion of
So,
rural.
that's an
That's
interesting
DEI.
point. So
You think
diversity.
DEI is only race
Let me
because
ask
you
you a question.
associate it with Kamala Harris?
Let me ask you a question. Is there a single instance in corporate America where DEI is implemented where diversity means anything other than skin color diversity?
So diversity,
No, it's not
women,
about viewpoint.
women.
What? Fine. How about chromosome
Oh.
or diversity or skin color?
So skin color, there's gender, you have to move the goalpost a little bit because you got destroyed there. All right, but there's also.
Well, no, I'm just asking a very simple question. The answer is no, because our system
That
of
doesn't
government.
mean that's not DEI. It
Saying,
still meets your
saying the
definition.
Senate is DEI.
What was your
is-
definition though?
What
What was your definition? Diversity, equity, inclusion. Diversity doesn't
Well,
only
hold
apply to
on.
race.
Let me
You're just
tell
saying
you-
other people defined
Parker, let me-
diversity.
Bruh, you're playing games. You're walking on high water, man. This is where I know. We trying to teach. We be trying to teach, right? We be trying to teach. But at a certain point, right, a kid is becoming an adult. Yes, you do pose a challenge and see how far they got. But with this part right here, it's certain challenges you gotta understand, you gotta take with a kid that is being put through the process of becoming something more bigger than what you expect. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, it's a mentor. You have a mentor, okay? You got a mentor and older mentor to a younger child. And this child don't only got one mentor. This child got what? Probably about 5, 6, maybe probably 25 mentors. Let's just say 25 mentors. So you got 25 mentors. So that's 25 brains. That's 25 brains he can pick off of. This intelligent. And he's young. That's what you're dealing with right there. That's why you can't get none in. He got 25 mentors. He can pick off brains, and he young. And anything you gonna say to him, he gonna think he know it. Oh, so what do you do with that? Like, come on.
Equity, inclusion to be
Let me
based on
finish.
race. You didn't though.
Let me finish. Because you're saying you didn't earn it. You know who did earn it? South Dakota and North Dakota when they charted themselves into states.
Wyoming didn't earn it because they have less of a
formed themselves
population.
into a state. Hold on. Yeah.
He fucking with some brainiacs. He's sitting in the room. He fucking with some brainiacs, and they just they got these cults in these colleges, man. Believe it or not, I mean, I don't know what to say. He got burnt by a young white boy. And I'm sitting here looking at these white kids he said he having a debate with. And I'm sitting and thinking in my mind, like, yeah, 20, 25 college kids. And the cults that they be in. Like, we know back in the day, these college kids been having cults and shit for years, and people be coming up they challenging other kids to do shit. All that. They be challenging these little young. Man, bet you won't do it. What? I bet you I will do it. I bet you won't do it. Man, fuck him. Okay, let's see. And they go out and do these old dumbass things that they do. They part of these little dumbass cults. Can't say they dumbass, cause that's they shit. You know what I'm saying? But they part of them. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to get wiped up by any motherfucker. I mean, they cults and shit. So, yeah. Yeah, bruh. You know what I mean? Little brainiacs. I ain't messing with them. You know what I mean? They out there. Y'all playing with these little coke kids and shit. And they be smart as a motherfucker. Y'all be looking at them like they Steve Urkel. You wake up in their basement, they got a needle in your arm. And you know what I'm saying? A computer on your brain and shit. Wake up, they on a sniper. They got a whole what they call that motherfucking thing? The nerd. What was it? The nerd something. The nerd something. They come around and shit. They fix your computers and shit. Them guys. They be part of them cults. Colleges. They think that shit don't still exist. And he's sitting there and the whole time, a lot of them don't believe in God. You sitting there talking about God with them. Some of them don't believe in God. They believe in science. Real shit. Like some of them don't believe in God. They believe in science. Like they sitting there listening to him like nonsense, Pete. They in that motherfucker. They believe in science. They listen to dude like, man, what the fuck that nigga talking about? Like they believe in science. So an older dude, they not trying to hear that shit you talking about. I can just I'm looking at the whole video of him talking to these kids. Look like man, nigga, you don't even know what you talking about. Busting them down. And they in a circle. They in a circle. That's the one thing about the video. They in a circle. The circle more like they in a basement and shit. And they in a circle. And if you put in the middle of the circle a star, it start looking like some witchcraft shit. That they sitting at a table debating. Come on, man. You called upon. Whew. They look like they about to eat you for a meal. Like I swear to God, that's what it looked like. Like he's sitting in the middle of a circle, debating with some college coke kids that about to eat his ass. They debating on him. Damn, bruh. Got killed by one of them little young college kids, man. Part of that coke, man. Rest in peace to Charlie Kirk, man. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. But it was one of them coke kids, man. You was sitting out there talking to them coke kids. They was looking at you like a piece of steak. They came up with the conclusion of which one gonna do it. That's sad. I mean, that's it. That's all. Like he been fucking with these college kids and they been sizing them up. sitting there sizing up, looking at him at like a little steak. Like, growling and shit, looking at him. And sized them up and sized his brain up because you know they brainiacs first. They brainiac the shit out of him. And next thing you know, some young little college kid explode his nugget. Real talk. Not trying to be too, you know what I mean, extra with it, but that's the way we gotta put it. The last days, he been talking to college kids, bruh. And all I can see out of it is kids disliking him. So you can't put that on nobody. It look like just straight some type of young world type thing. And they don't like him. They didn't like him. That's the young world didn't like him. So I did my research and looking at it, man. Charleston White is right. That's what it is. That's what the fuck it looked like. It looked like some young kids. He got popped off by a young kid. He's sitting in a circle where it looked like a star need to be in the middle of a witchcraft shit, and they in the basement having a debate, and they burning him up. Boy, like you just was, what's this? 20 far right versus 20 far, one conservative versus 20 liberal college students. So Charlie Kirk, conservative, versus 25 liberal college students. Shit. Y'all check that out, man. Jubilee featured Charlie Kirk. Jubilee featured Charlie Kirk. Go check that out and tell me what you think. But to me, it looked like he's sitting in the circle of some smart ass kids on another level. Smart. This is another level of smartness. That's all I'm gonna just say. I'm not even gonna add on to the shit. There's some other level of smartness. And look around the circle of the kids. They got him in the middle debating with them. But he get popped by a young kid, young boy. He get popped by a young boy. He get popped by a young boy. He get, I mean, same age of these kids he sitting here talking to. Cult type shit, looking at shit. They look like they part of a cult, like Harry Potter. These motherfuckers, they look like Harry Potter in the crew. He's sitting in the basement with Harry Potter in the crew. Man, bruh. What we would call this, like the 2025 cults? They got the 2025 college coats. For real. Oh, man. It's like 500 reasons why they probably did this, man, man. Then, Trump took away from the colleges and shit. Oh, shit. Whew, bruh. Trump took money away from the colleges. Some of these kids couldn't go to school. You know what I mean? You messing with some of these kids' bank accounts. You know what I mean? School. You know what I mean? Programs. You mess. I can see it now. I can see it now, man. Yeah. This is actually we can see that. So this the thing. This the thing, right? So okay, so you messing with the kids schooling, and you got taken out. One of your people got taken out by a kid that all he want to do is go to school type shit. You know what I mean? All he want to do is go to school. But he can't get through. He can't do this. He can't do because y'all messing with the schooling systems. Y'all messing with that. Damn, y'all luring kids into maybe. Uh, I'm just throwing bubbles out there. You know what I'm saying? Bubble here, thought there, thought there. The court thing ain't left my mind. Fuck that. I'm gonna leave that right there and put a pin on that motherfucker. But we gonna go over here and make a bubble over here. So also Trump been messing with the kids' schooling. So you been messing with the kids' schooling, man. You know what I mean? Kids, man. Man, trying to get through college and shit like that, and you fucking with their schooling. That too. That too. So yeah, again, bubble up. That's the second bubble. Put that on a pen. Put that on the wall. Third bubble. Third bubble. This is my third bubble. So third bubble. Thought maybe I might get in trouble for the third bubble. You know what I'm saying? You can't say the third bubble. I say the third bubble. Motherfuckers be like, oh. Take her down. Take the network down. So I might have to watch. Y'all know what the third bubble. So the third bubble will be Trump on his mafia shit. He feel like he been a birds, nigga. You got washed up by some little young ass kids. You a birds that's out here. We might have to get him out. You know what I mean? And yeah, he a birds that's. Man, I like to win. You know what I mean? He a birds the shit out of us. Yeah. Do him in. All right. That's my third bubble. Fourth bubble is just some trifling ass people that just don't give a fuck. Did the man wrong. Fourth bubble. Last bubble is September. It's going into October. And he part of the hit list. And he part of the schedule. And yeah, he been part of the schedule to be dismissed, part of the list. That's The fifth bubble. That's the last bubble. Oh. One more bubble. Last bubble. God will be calling all of us home one day.
All right. Who really wants to go? I don't want to pick on. I don't want to pick on somebody who doesn't want to get picked on. Okay. You want to debate? Whatever you want. So you're the affirmative on the negative. You're good with 10 minutes. I don't want to put you in a spot you don't want to be in. You sure? Okay.
Okay, I guess the claim I'm making is that affirmative action is constitutional.
Tell me about your claim.
I wanted to talk about affirmative action because we haven't really gotten to it, and it's recently been revoked based on the new Supreme Court ruling. And I firmly believe that affirmative action is constitutional and is a right that certain American citizens deserve. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, the 14th Amendment allows for equal protection regardless of race, and it's a colorblind amendment. And the whole idea of affirmative action is to try to give people extra boost based on their skin color or their racial background, which by definition cuts underneath the idea of equal protection.
Okay. So do you know why the 14th Amendment was founded and the Equal Protection and Equal Rights Act
Yeah, the 14th
exists?
Amendment was a post-Civil War amendment. 14,
Yes.
15, 16, 17 were all during Reconstruction.
So what was it in response to?
Slavery.
Oh, and who were slaves?
Well, that's an important point. So do you think affirmative action will help heal the multi-generational problems of slavery?
I do. I really do.
Okay.
Because, so let's just talk about the history for a second. Slavery begins in the early 1800s.
Earlier.
No,
Slavery?
1816 is the beginning of slavery.
1619.
Oh, yeah, I guess it would be. Okay, first slaves come in 1619, doesn't end until 1800s.
1880s.
Then we go into Jim Crow laws starting in 1877, and Black people are not given equal rights until officially 1965. Would you agree with that?
That's generally the correct telling.
Yeah, so, 1960s, 1970s.
But just so we're clear that Black Americans were able to serve in office in the early 1900s. They were able to vote throughout the 1900s. But yes, there were poll taxes, there was Jim Crow laws, there was segregation. Of course there was. And we get to be delusional not to acknowledge those things.
Okay, so we can acknowledge all of those things. Can we also acknowledge, due to the laws under Jim Crow, that Black people were significantly hindered from economic advancement?
This is a really important question. The data shows not really. It was evil. Americans are poorer today in 2024 than they were in the 1950s.
Yes, why do you think that is?
Good question. So we have the Civil Rights Act, we have more benefits, more government programs. Something changed between the 1950s and 2024. So there's two answers to this question. Either America got more racist since 1950s to 2024. So like that 70-year period, because Black Americans are worse off today per capita.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You agree with that? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Than in the 1950s. Or there's another explanation. And I think the truth is somewhere in the middle, which is I think you would acknowledge that the disappearance of the Black father has been the number one driver of Black poverty in this country. Now, there are reasons for that we
What do you think the reasons for that are?
Well, culture is one. Would you agree?
So actually, let's go back to the foundations of that
school to prison
culture.
pipeline, all that stuff. But can we at least agree that Black dads not being around is a bad thing?
America's beverage companies.
Whoa. Okay. I mean, yeah, it's a bad thing. Would you? Okay. All right. See where you're getting at with that. I mean, it is a bad thing. Yeah. Well, okay. See where you're going. All right. You gotta see where people going with shit before you think Black people being fathers not being around a bad thing. Yeah, that's a bad thing. We know that.
Anyone's father not being around is a bad
No,
thing.
of course,
not
but
specifically.
75% of black youth are not raised with a father in the home. It's the highest of any group in the country. It used to be 25% in the 1950s, so it's gone up dramatically in 70 years.
Okay, so you are blaming the fact that black people have not been able to achieve economic equality and advancement in this country.
They've had decrease.
Specifically and solely because of the absence
Not
of black
solely.
parents.
It is the most primary ingredient reason.
So you think it's the absence of black fathers?
Correct.
And you think, what else?
Public sector teacher unions that have kept these schools crummy and kids aren't reading and teachers keep getting paid and we don't fire bad teachers. That's a big thing.
Okay.
War on police in our inner cities and not having enough police and not actually locking up criminals. Hear me out. For example, in Chicago, do you know that only half of all murders go solved in the city of Chicago?
That doesn't surprise me at all.
That's a problem, right?
That is a problem.
Yeah, so we need more police, more detectives to solve those murders. But I want to hear your points too. I'm talking too much.
So let's go back a little bit to what you said in the issue of policing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, starting in the 1980s and continuing onward, there's been a war on drugs. Is this correct?
I like the war on drugs.
You like the war on drugs. So
Yes.
during the war on drugs, it created an epidemic of mass incarceration, specifically
Hold on, only if you're using drugs
no.
or peddling drugs. If you don't use drugs, then you don't go to jail, right?
So you believe that the criminal justice system is flawless?
No, I never said flawless. There's a lot of people in jail that shouldn't be in jail. There's a lot of problems in any system.
Okay, so wait, let's
but
pause
however,
on that. So you believe that a lot of people who have gone to jail
a small percent.
shouldn't be in jail? A small percent.
Yeah,
What
but
percent would you say?
5%?
You would say only 5%.
Correct. When you have a system of justice, you're going to have scummy prosecutors. You're going to have bad defense attorneys.
I have a question. Can I get a Google? What percentage of people currently incarcerated are black?
It's way larger than
Well,
five.
hold on.
It's what?
Hold on.
It's way larger than five.
No, I know, but the fact I'm saying 5%.
It's caused by the war on drugs.
Hold on.
So that's the point that I'm trying to make. Exactly.
Who am I debating? Am I debating here? Am I?
Your own government is pumping drugs.
Yeah. So
Okay, so I want to make a quick
You're
point.
right. Black Americans are in prison far greater than the percentage of the population. So Black Americans are about 13 to 14% of the population.
Yes, I
About
know that.
half of all prisoners are black.
Exactly.
So blacks commit more crimes than whites do. They commit more murders, they commit more arsons, they commit more kidnappings. For example, blacks are 13% of the population and they commit 58% of all the murders. That's not a war on drugs, that's a culture problem.
Okay, so let's talk about that culture. Black people have been legislatively subjugated up until 1965. I'll give it, honestly, it's later, but let's just say 1965. You do not think that 10 generations of legislative subjugation and slavery during that time, 4,000 black men, women, and children are lynched as the result of race riots in this country? You do not think that these things have a lasting impact? We have had 10 generations of subjugation and 4 of legislative freedom.
Of course they have an impact, but it's more on you to explain why things got worse since the Civil Rights Act. More violent, less fathers around, poorer. Why is that? So,
because of mass incarceration and the unfair criminalization of black men.
But let's just take murders, for example. Why blacks are 13% of the population and commit 58% of the murders? Why is that?
Because people in affluent and whiter neighborhoods are not policed at the same rate. There are more
murders.
police.
I'm talking about dead bodies. There's no, we're not talking about policing, we're talking about murders. Why are so many blacks committing murders outside of their population?
Okay, let's take it back to some history.
I'm curious for an answer to that question.
I'm going to give you one. So let's go to redlining. Okay, redlining.
Redlining
Yes.
is why so many blacks are killing each other?
No, let me finish my claim.
Okay.
And then you can respond. Is that okay? Okay, so redlining, federally mandated or sustained by the FHA, right? Separating Black Americans to specifically impoverished and relegated areas of the country. We are incapable of buying homes and putting equity into neighborhoods with lower crime rates and better educational systems. We do not have access to things that would uplift and help our community. When you are put in an environment that promotes and reinforces social and economic inequality, you become desperate and are forced to do things that maybe don't align with your values.
What you're making an excuse for a lot of murder,
when you have
a lot of stealing,
a high concentration,
You're making an ask you.
Of a subjugated people in
Hold on.
one area.
If you were right, when blacks in America did not have the same rights they have today, they were less murderous, there was less break-ins. Why is that?
So I'm sorry, are you trying to say that blacks thrive under subjugation?
No, I'm not. I'm saying I'm asking you the question. The data shows they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad, it was evil, but what happened? Something changed. They committed less crimes.
Maybe they were afraid. I mean, 4,000 black men, women, and children were killed in violent lynch mobs.
That's your explanation, but I guess
racial terror permeated American culture for hundreds of years.
Black America is worse than it has been
that
in the last
affected
80 years.
the generational psyche of an entire group of people?
Well, I'm sure it did. I'm not discounting that. I'm just trying to understand, why is it the more social welfare we've done, so we've spent $20 trillion on uplifting black communities, 20 trillion, and black Americans are poor. We've done everything that's been asked.
You haven't done everything that's been asked, though.
Great society.
Because what is being asked?
Subsidized housing, Medicaid, public schooling, subsidized college. We're talking about $20 trillion that has been spent on the Great Society, and yet black America is poorer, more murderous, more dangerous. So there's an explanation. I'm asking you.
But we are not asking for handouts. We are asking for equity.
Hold on,
and
what
part
is
of
that? Taking from other people?
Excuse me, it means sharing, which is something that you guys seem to have a very hard time doing.
Sharing. So somebody has to explain why black America, and you haven't, is 13% of the population and commits 58% of the murders.
Black people have built and founded this society.
Thank you.
And you wonder why your kids probably they pissed off. He playing with some kids. These kids ain't playing. Hold on.
We're talking about college, right? So again, also, people are not paying to go to church, are
But
they?
it's a reductio ad absurdum. You know what that is?
Ask the question.
What's a reductio ad absurdum?
That's a Latin term that means reducing down to the lowest common belief, correct?
Yeah, so I'm taking
Am I right? I didn't go to college, I knew that.
I'm taking your particular position.
Let me ask you a question without you interrupting me. Do you pay to go to church?
No, I don't. Some people do. They're forced to pay based upon their particular denomination.
And today, do you pay to go to church?
Depending on the church.
No, you don't. Do you have to go to debt to go to church?
In some circumstances, people do, because they have to give up 10% of their income to be able to do that. People can't afford.
Circumstance?
Well, they're LDS. You understand that a lot of LDS churches specifically require 10%.
Yeah, they don't require it. And what you're
they
talking,
do in plenty of places.
Well, you're asking mainline Christian.
Isn't there stigmatization
belief
if you don't do that?
Okay, you're good at interrupting, not good at answering.
Well, you haven't answered any of my questions yet.
I did say no, church is not a scam. Church is the bride of Christ. College is a scam. And college is, people are going into debt. They're paying a lot of money. But I want to ask you a question. You said it's a scam for some people. Who's it a scam for?
Yeah, for people who specifically aren't ever going to use it, never use any of the knowledge that they receive from it. Well, you say 52%. I don't think you can qualify 52% of people don't do that.
What number would you say?
For example, my job, that's not going to be recommended as an economics degree. And most economics majors are going to go into TikTok debating online. But I use the information that I learned in college in my job on a daily basis. So I still use relevant qualities that are then used in my job later on.
What percentage of kids that go to college are being scammed?
I don't think anyone knows that. Because it's dependent upon an individual.
Shouldn't we try to find out?
Well, if you'd like to find some empirics on that, I'd love to see it.
I just did. So 41%.
That's not a source.
Well, the Department of Education is a source.
No, the Department of Education doesn't say 41% of people it was a scam for, or that they didn't use any of the information they learned in college.
You are using.
So are you saying none of them used any of the information?
Can I say 3 words without you interrupting me?
Do any of them use the information later on?
Can I say 5 words without interrupting me?
Well, you've interrupted me multiple times.
So since you say college is a scam for some people, it's a ballpark. For the kids that do not graduate, 41% that ended up going and not graduating, were they scammed?
No, just because you go and pay for a particular thing, but then you don't follow through with it, doesn't mean you were scammed.
Maybe they were
You
misled.
decided to pay for it. Oh, you could say some people are misled.
Do you
Some
think
people are
that
stigmatizing to these things.
Do you think that
some people are misled in the church? And you never answered my question on that. Because you're trying to take that time down so that you don't have to answer the question about Christianity. Because you know your worldview looks terrible.
Well, what about Christianity do you want me to answer? We're talking
I think
about
it's
college.
false. Or because I was saying, is church a scam? If church is a scam, that'd be predicated off of the idea that you're deceived into believing that there's everlasting life,
but you
specifically from
believe
Christianity.
that, again,
so Christianity has to be true. So can you grant that? What's the argument?
Christianity is true. Did the resurrection?
What's the argument?
You're going to let me finish 3 words in a row?
Appreciate it.
Okay. Did the resurrection happen?
I don't think the resurrection occurred.
Okay, I disagree.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. A perfect creator, is it possible for them to not desire something imperfect?
is a perfect creator. I'm sorry, what?
Well, there's a perfect creator that desires everything that's just perfect. How can they desire something imperfect, flawed?
Well, because maybe they want to get to know themselves. Maybe they want to see their own creation. Maybe they love.
They want to get to know them. Or he's all knowing.
Can I finish? Can I finish talking here? Okay. Maybe because God loved the world so much that his creation, which rebelled against him, given agency and free will, rebelled against them, then got eternal life, what we actually deserve, and then sent his son on a rescue mission to save us from that. The church is the bride of Christ, will save us from damnation that we deserve. College is far from the bride of America. It's currently scamming the youth of this country and sending them into oblivion.
Didn't answer the question.
I did.
No, you didn't say how they could desire something imperfect.
Well, God can do
talk
anything.
about that later.
God can do anything, so.
Even something logically contradictory?
No, it's not logically contradictory.
So desire something imperfect?
Can an unstoppable object hit a unmovable force?
Hey, before we go any further, we want to take a moment.
This is outrageous, boy. These kids frying his ass. Hold on, man. Dang. The young brainiacs.
Yeah, my next claim is that trans women are not women. Okay. What's your name?
Sam.
Nice to meet you. A woman is an adult female with XX chromosomes. You tell me, what is a woman?
I think a woman is somebody who identifies as a woman.
Got it. So that's not a definition. That's like saying a table is something that identifies as a table. Give me an objective definition of
No,
how...
it's not. A table is an object.
Well,
a table can't identify as anything. It doesn't have a choice.
You have to give me an objective definition of what a woman is.
If I decided right now that I wanted to identify as a woman, I would be a woman.
Okay, but that doesn't answer the question.
I know, but right now I'm a man, right? So if that happened right now, I'd be a woman. So once a person makes the decision to identify as a woman,
got it.
They're a woman.
That's a separate issue. What is a woman?
That's the definition.
No, I know, but you have to tell me what.
A person who identifies themselves as a woman.
But you have to how do you know that they are that thing?
How do I don't need to know what they are. I can ask them if I want to know.
But there needs to be, you need to tell me what that thing is, though.
Somebody who... Okay, sorry, we're not getting anywhere. We're not getting anywhere.
Well, no, it's important because it's like saying a giraffe is a thing that looks like a giraffe, or a coyote is a thing that looks like a coyote. It's called circular reasoning. You have to give me a actual definition.
I don't have to... I did give you a definition.
No, you said that a woman is something that thinks they're a woman. That doesn't give me a definition. That's simply...
What would you consider a definition then?
An adult female with XX
No,
chromosomes.
I mean, like, what makes that a definition?
Not going nowhere.
Hello.
Hi.
Juliana?
Juliana,
I remember,
yeah.
Okay.
I don't necessarily think that you can define a woman just by her chromosomes. Women are so much more than that. They come in a variety of shapes, sizes, colors. And I don't necessarily think that you can count out somebody who's trans just because they don't have a certain set of chromosomes. There are also people who are born... I'm drawing a blank.
Okay. Intersex?
Yes.
So XXY or YYX?
Or just, or like
sure.
X0 with nothing.
So natural mutations upon the binary, essentially, right?
Yes. So,
but they don't have both sex organs that both operate, right?
Yeah, but that also I don't think necessarily works, right? Because if it's X,
one is more
X,
dominant
and
than
there's
the other. So you're either more male or more female, right? So you might have both a penis and a vagina, but there's never been a case of someone who can impregnate themselves.
Okay. I also don't necessarily think that works for this situation, but I also want to say that one of my best friends is trans, and I would say that she's more of a woman than I am. I think that women define themselves by multiple things, not just their sex organs. If somebody asked me who I was as a woman, I would not say I have a vagina.
Totally fair. So, no, I think you said something smart. So you said that person is more of a woman than you are. Therefore, you're grading off a definition of something accomplishes womanhood. What is that?
I think it's... Well, that's a thing too, and I do think that gets a little complicated, right? Because there are social norms for a gender, but I do think we try to break that, right?
No, for sure, but you said that specific friend is more of a woman than you are. Why?
I think she's a better person than me. I think she
so
lives
women are
life.
Better people?
She's a better woman than I am. I'm not saying women are better people.
But what makes a woman? Because you said she's more of a woman than you are, so I want to know what that definition is.
Right, okay. I'm going to let somebody else go. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Parker, what is a woman?
A woman is an adult human person that has a desire to be in accordance with a particular set of social and cultural norms that are typically associated with the female sex. Now, define a man. Define a man.
You're looking at one, XY chromosomes and a.
Okay, but does God the Father have XY chromosomes prior to incarnation?
We literally have a religious
He's
topic
a father and he's him, but he's not a man?
We have a religious
Wait, so a man is someone with XY chromosomes, but he doesn't have XY chromosomes, and he's still a man, and he still uses preferred pronouns?
It's actually very interesting. In the original Hebrew, Adonai, do you know what Adonai is? It's the Hebrew word for God. It's actually genderless, but in the scriptures, they use he, right? And they use the masculine. Jesus Christ came to earth as a man, not as a woman, not as genderqueer. But let's go back to the...
But God the Father is a man, right? Because all fathers are men.
Well, first of all, there's a trinity. So God the Father is neither man nor woman. He is omniscient, omnipotent. He is all being on top.
So why do you use he?
Well, I did not. The scriptures do. You could use woman. You could say her. You could use him, but the way that the language is structured, again, it is so, God the Father is so above gender, it is so above any of our understanding.
Then why use him?
Glory and understanding. Again, because you have to make a choice, either he or him or her in the original scriptures. Let's go back to,
some fathers aren't men and boys. So some fathers are not men and boys, not men or boys.
I'm sorry.
Some fathers are not male.
No, of course they are. I'm not.
Wait, so God the Father is a male?
Hold on, God the Father. So where do we get God the Father from? What Greek word?
From your scripture.
Well, from Abba, right, which is a very close personal term.
You're not answering my questions, and you're bringing up random language that doesn't matter.
Well, it actually does.
No, it doesn't.
But let me get down to the root of it, because he's
not a man. You know he's not a man under your worldview. You still use his preferred pronouns. You still call him a man.
Christ is a man.
You don't do that with trans people because you're transphobic. That's why.
Okay, got it. But Christ is a man. I'm happy to get into the sexuality and
Before
gender
incarnation, he's not.
of the Trinity. Okay.
Before incarnation, there's no penis. There's no XY.
Think about it. If that's correct, how is it then Jacob saw the face of God?
Okay, so if there's
hold on. If there was not before the incarnation, how did Jacob see the face of God? How did Jacob wrestle with God?
Characters can have faces without biology.
How did Jacob wrestle with God?
So okay, do you think that he has a body?
Well,
or was that a figurative notion of wrestle?
That's a mystery of the scriptures. I'm not here. Well, it is. I'm not here to debate theology. Can we go back to what we're talking about?
Does he actually have biology? You keep trying to pivot because you know this debunks you.
Well,
what biology does your God have?
Well, the one of Christ our Lord.
No, I meant before incarnation.
Well, to be honest, I don't quite know, and I don't think the scriptures
so you don't know what a man is?
Well,
you can't define what a man is?
It's a little opaque. Again, you're looking at a man.
But your video, the largest video on TikTok is, what is a woman, 20 million views, but you don't know what a man is in your own worldview?
I said you're looking at a man, right?
Wait, but God the Father doesn't meet that criteria.
Am I looking at a man?
Yes, you are.
Okay, good. Just making
a man that's defeating you in a debate right now.
Okay, that's fine. So let me ask you a question, though. So do you think that anybody can become a woman?
I think that anyone who meets my criteria is a woman.
What's your criteria?
Again, adult human person that has a desire to be in accordance with a particular set of social and cultural norms that are typically associated with the female sex.
Can society ever be wrong?
Sure, but like it's a desire to be in accordance with a set of social and cultural norms.
Can I become black if I wear blackface?
No, because it's not a desire that you have to be in accordance with a particular set of social and cultural norms.
To be black?
Because race is defined phenotypically based upon the expression to other people.
But by some standard, you're judging that.
Do you think there's a phenotypical expression of someone who's white and someone who's black? Like I see you're white because of your phenotypical expression.
Right. So, but do you think? But Rachel Dolezal that said she is black and culturally black, is she black?
Does she have phenotypically characteristics we would associate
Define
with people who are
phenotypical. I'm not sure what that word means.
It's going to be the expression.
So
of
melanin content on skin.
Yes.
Okay. So she could pass as a black person.
Wait. So she doesn't have the melanin content.
She's borderline.
No.
Heavily.
Okay. So then she's not black.
Okay. So
Charlie Kirk debating with the college students, 25 liberal college students debating with conservative college. Charlie Kirk.
So you're able to say who is black and not black?
That's how we define it in society. No shit.
Okay, got it. So, but is there an objective definition of who is black?
Wait, language is all subjective. Linguistics professionals indicate it's subjective.
Language is all subjective?
Yes, absolutely. Every word you just used was created by other human beings that are engaging in conversation.
No,
you might think it's created by God, but even then it's still subjective.
But now we're getting somewhere.
God's a subject.
Now we're getting somewhere. Is the word and the value behind murder objective or subjective?
Well, I think morality is subjective. But you think it's subjective too because it comes from God.
That's interesting.
Wait, does it come from God or independent of God?
Well, no, of course it comes from God. It's transcendent.
That's true. That's subjective. That's subjective. Yes, it is. No. If it comes from God, it's specific.
No,
what you just told me is also compatible with moral anti-realism.
So let's go back to the Ten Commandments.
You don't understand meta-ethics.
Well, hold on a second.
What does subjective morality mean? What does it mean?
Subjective morality means that it comes in everybody's own opinion, their own form, not
dependent upon a stance.
Again,
God is a stance, and that's the truth of morality.
So if let's believe. Do you believe in if everybody believed in the concept of God, the transcendent God? that there was a 10 commandments and we should live by them, right? Is that objective morality?
No. Just because people agree doesn't make it objective.
Okay, then what,
again, independent of a stance.
What is
agreeance is not independent of a stance.
What is objective morality then? Sorry, thanks. We'll be back at it next time. Mason, how are you? Nice to meet you. Okay.
So I think it's a little scummy that you're plagiarizing the whole Matt Walsh thing. Like your thing is the worship of Israel and everything like that.
I pay him royalties.
Okay, for sure. Well, do you want to talk about sex first, or do you want to talk about gender?
I don't think gender exists. I think it's a term that John Money and Judith Butler created over the last 40 years that basically is a filler for personalities.
Okay, well, if we're talking about sex, which it seems like you're saying is the exact same thing, would you say sex is binary by definition?
For sure, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so you're already incorrect. Like, sex is not binary, it's bimodal. So if you look at a distribution graph, we're going to see people in two camps majority of the time, but there are going to be externalities on both ends of the spectrum and in the middle.
For example, like
so we already talked about intersex.
Right. However, with intersex, though, they are mutations of a binary, correct?
No, we're talking about.
Hold on, but
we're talking about an entire spectrum.
Which sex
you're by definition defeating your expression of what a binary is by saying that there are externalities.
But let me ask you a question. Like XXY.
For example, you're trying to create this one box and then use any examples that are outside of that box
you brought up
to justify that box again.
You brought up intersex.
We're talking about reality.
You brought up intersex.
Okay.
What sex organs? Which one is more dominant?
What do you mean?
In an XXY situation.
Can you explain your point of view?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have more female characteristics and male characteristics in an XXY, or it might be YYX. One of the two. The point is that you do not have both.
We could see people with female reproductive organs that have XY, and we can see the vice versa, people with male reproductive organs that have XX.
So I think you said something about gender, though. I think that's more interesting to get into.
Okay.
Do you understand how the conversation...
So we're moving off of sex, because you're ceding that argument.
No, I'm not ceding it. Okay. You want to keep going into it?
We can, if you'd like.
Okay, so besides male and female, what categories exist?
We have people that are intersex. We have people that are on the other ends of the bimodal distribution graph. Are you aware what bimodal means versus binary?
Somewhat of an understanding. Yeah.
Okay, well, so you can be presented with a graph after this by the people that you brought with you. But it's actually a bimodal distribution.
Just like constantly going to condescending type talk is not going to be fruitful.
I'm just trying to match your energy with the people that you treated that were trying to have a conversation.
Got it. So trans women are not women. Do you agree with that?
I would say that trans women are women because people that exist under the category of women, people that exist under the category of men are still humans.
Got it. So that category, how is that defined?
Well, I wouldn't limit it to things like genitals or things like chromosomes, which seems like you want to do. What type of genitals would you say I have since you're so obsessed with genitals?
I'm not obsessed with genitals, but I could do a blood sampling right now and I could see exactly what you are because every single one of your trillions of cells are either coded with XX or XY, no matter how much surgery or whatever. I think that you are man, but you could fool me. You could take hormones, you could play camouflage. Like I could fool you to be Hispanic if I had the right Hollywood makeup director. That doesn't mean that you are the thing though.
But you're going from an objective biological perspective, which we've already talked about with sex. I'm talking about a social construct or a social utility.
Yeah. So
like if we were at a restaurant, right? I'm sitting down
you're a man.
And I'm sitting down at the table and you're telling the waiter, hey, I want to go sit with blank. What would you use?
With you?
He doesn't know my name. Yeah. Well, I'm sitting over there.
That guy.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
That guy. You're going to typically use he or him, or you're going to say that guy, like you just said.
Correct.
Because you're ascribing the male gender to me based on my performative characteristics.
I say I could be an error. Maybe you are a biological woman.
And then you'd correct yourself, right?
Maybe not.
So that's what that is exactly what we're trying to say.
So the question is that, do you think that womanhood can then be assumed just through costume design?
It's not costume design.
What is it then?
It's performative social characteristics.
So you could
act
that's
what gender is.
Okay,
great
got
job.
it. So you could, it's like a theater troupe.
It's not a theater troupe. So these are social.
Womanhood
categories.
can be appropriated.
No, they're categories. That's what it is.
So there's nothing inherent about the chromosomes. There's nothing that...
Correct, yes.
Wow, we disagree. So there's nothing inherent about having a period or being able to give birth or the specific hormonal makeup.
In different cultures, we've ascribed that to womanhood. If you go back to other cultures spanning thousands of years, you'll see a difference when it comes to those.
Like, for example, the Mayans had plenty of people that were schizophrenic, right? So that means nothing to me, right?
Okay, so we have people that say they're hearing things from God. Would you say that's schizophrenic?
Well, not necessarily. It built Western civilization and common law and due process and individual rights.
I just wanted to hear that your priority...
Defense of the unborn and the greatest civilization ever. You know, that voice from God happened to build the greatest nation ever to exist in the history of the world. That's
okay.
fine.
I think the Mayans would say the same thing. That's the problem with presuppositional arguments.
Let's go down.
That you could say anything.
Can we go visit?
I mean, God's telling me right now that you're a fish. Do you think that's real?
Can we go visit the Mayan Nation? They didn't last that long, did they?
Yeah, overkilling and violence, and you can justify that if you like.
You mean all the child sacrifice?
And this is the condescending tone that why I'm trying to match it is because
you mean all the child sacrifice the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incans did on the top of temples? Great civilization.
Do you want to go back into the Old Testament? Let's bring Parker up in here and talk about all the child marriage, and we can talk about the justification of rape.
Where was child sacrifice ever in the Bible?
When Isaac was almost fucking sacrificed by his dad.
He wasn't though, because at the beginning of Genesis,
so God just said like, nah, just kidding, dog. Don't actually kill your son.
Because at the beginning of Genesis 16 said, I'm going to test
to prove
Abraham.
Obedience. Yes,
yeah, that's right. So now you know it. So actually, there was no child sacrifice in the Bible. It was a prohibition on child sacrifice in the Bible. But anyway, that's a little bit of a rabbit hole. Do you understand at least? Can you sympathize with our perspective?
Okay,
that.
I'll calm it down a little bit. I apologize for the condescension.
No, it's fine. I mean, you're doing it's fine. But did you see where this could get wildly out of control? At least on my screen.
I don't see how it would get out of control because
even in
that made this man look bad of debating, and Donald Trump get a man fired for debating. That's crazy.
Sports, for example, you think that there's no.
So this is something that we might be able to agree upon, right? Sports were not archaeologically dug up, right? The rules of sports, they are things that we've created as a society. We've decided as a society the most fair categorization is male sports and female sports. Now, as we've been able to understand, or at least bring into the forefront, people who don't identify with the binary, we still have to allow all people that are women in the women's category, all men that are men in the women's category. That includes cis and trans. If you'd like to change that category because you think it's unfair, we can do that. That's what's on.
All right, okay. I ain't trying to be funny, but the guy that he talking to, right? He got a little hand. Right? He talking to him. He trying not to look at his little hand like a motherfucker. Like, it's crazy. He trying not to look at that man's little hand. Like he like, hold up. You know what I'm saying? He trying not to look at his little hand. You feel what I'm saying? He looking at him. He trying to talk to him, but all he looking at is his little hand the whole time. Like, you can't be doing that, man. Stop looking at the man's little hand, man. Like, the man trying to talk to you, you looking at his little hand like shit.
Awesome about arbitrary rules is we can decide hormones.
I might not know this, but like when the Greeks started the Olympics 2,000 years ago, did they have like a bunch of dudes wrestling with women?
I don't even think they allowed women to compete. Well, I might be wrong on that,
but that kind of proves the point, though, that there was a...
Yeah, and what did we do to allow women? We changed the rules.
Right, no, but that, by definition, therefore, there is something from body composition, bone mass, lung density, testosterone, and estrogen rates. Endocrinology is different.
If you'd say the majority of males in the bimodal distribution graph, we're going back to that, you can say, hey, we want this level of hormones in this particular category, and we can separate it by hormones. I agree with you that a majority of men or majority of cis men are...
You got to be like 99.9%.
I don't know, Ronda Rousey could kick my ass, I will say that.
No, for sure, but I mean, but could she kick Conor McGregor's ass?
Well, now we're talking about the peaks, right?
No, she's at the peak,
cisgender.
No, because you're talking about the peaks of two different categories in the same sort of...
Right, because why? She's a cis woman.
Well, she's a cis woman and
correct, a cis man.
But yes, and he could kick her tail, right?
Yes, I would agree.
Well, okay, for sure, right?
Because cis men and cis women have different hormone levels. If you want to change the hormones, we can change the categorization. But you're saying that you want men and women, bar none, and you say that's the most fair category. Then we have to allow all women and all men.
Well, but again, those things don't. So I just want to be clear. So because I think I'm tracking your argument, is that in the University of Pennsylvania swim team, when Thomas swam against biological women, you're perfectly fine with that.
I think as long as we have the categories that way.
Thanks.
Good to meet you.
Yeah. I want to get him in. This isn't debated yet. No, you're fine. You're fine. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Preeti. Nice to meet
Brittany,
you.
nice to meet you. Go ahead.
Preeti. P-R-E-E-T.
I'm sorry.
You're totally good. Yeah. Okay, so I kind of want to go back to a little earlier. You said that Parker has lower T than you. So would you say...
It's a joke.
Yeah.
No.
Right. I'm fully aware it's a joke. But I guess on that point, do you think that T has to do, or testosterone has to do with your manhood?
No. Well, yes and no. I mean, if you are looking at typical testosterone estrogen rates of women, they are far different than those of men. But for example, your testosterone rate goes down when you have children. For
Okay,
example,
but
when you're a man, that doesn't make you less of a man. They go down by about 400 points.
Okay, but like when we were talking earlier about like sports, right?
Mhm.
And you were saying that the reason why it's unfair for like for example, a trans woman who used to be a man to be like competing in women's sports, you cited that they have higher testosterone levels.
One of about 50 characteristics. Also lung density. Men's hearts are bigger.
Okay.
We have greater bone
those-
density, muscle mass.
Okay,
Tend
but
to be
those
faster, tend to be stronger.
I understand. But like those factors all come from the hormones during the development process, correct?
No, not necessarily. No.
I mean, most of them do.
Well, not all of them. So, for example, you could try to pump a young girl's body with testosterone at 8 years old, and you can get them stronger. You cannot necessarily get them on par with a biological male at puberty. You cannot. You could try.
Okay, but like
Because there's something in the coding of our genetics.
right, the coding of our genetics, which is often like controlled by like different like I guess parts of our DNA and also the hormones that are produced that affect the effective
But
coding
we're
of how
more than
you're
endocrinology, but it's a
produced.
big part. Because, for example, if you just give a kid testosterone, that doesn't even get them close to becoming a male, or estrogen giving them a female.
Okay.
They might get characteristics that are close to that,
Right. Okay.
but it doesn't. For
But I
example,
mean,
let me-
like, there's no perfect image of like, this is what a female looks like. This is what a male looks
No,
like.
but-
Like,
but
we
for
all get our
example-
periods at different ages. Some of us and also like, for example, like there are many circumstances where womanhood is just not one thing, right? It's a multitude of experiences
For
that
sure.
every single
Can
person.
you define what womanhood is? That's an interesting question for you.
Well, no, I can't define what womanhood is. And the reason why is because it's something that's an individual experience for every single person, right? Like my experiences, what I have experienced throughout my life is not going to be the same as another woman who may have grown up in a different
We
environment.
have disagreement, but not clarity. I say that being
Yeah.
a woman or womanhood is an objective thing.
Right. But
It's
are we
objective outside of one's own
Okay.
opinions or experiences.
so but are we at the point where we're discussing where this is like not something based on your chromosomes, but something maybe based on a construct?
Well, no, it also can be objectively witnessed in empirical ways, in biological ways, in scientific ways.
Okay. So to clarify, we're still discussing whether womanhood is on chromosomes or not.
If you'd like to discuss that, it's deeper than
Like-
just chromosomes. But
Right,
yeah,
right. I'm just
I mean,
trying to
for example-
define exactly.
For example,
where
if
this
we look
debate
at
is at right
SPEC scans or brain scans of men and women, 98% of the time, artificial intelligence can tell you which one is the men and which one is the female.
now. Okay.
Different parts of our brains fire. So
Okay,
for
so-
men, for example, our amygdalas are not as high working as women. You know what amygdala is the
Okay.
threat assessment part of
So
your brain.
obviously, like your birth, so there's a difference between the concept of what sex is, which is a biological aspect, and what gender is,
For
which
sure.
is a social construct,
I
right?
reject gender completely as a different word. It's really
Okay, so
personality.
that's where the debate is,
Yes.
the existence of gender.
Gender means personality.
Okay.
I don't doubt that biological men might
How
have
would you
feminine type
define
characteristics.
race on that point?
How would I define
How would you
race?
define race?
Well, race is a very difficult topic.
Okay, because I think that it's a really important thing to discuss when it comes
here's
to
the thing,
terms of
if
this.
I draw
Because
if I draw blood, if
is
there
it ethnic lines?
if
Is
you
it
if you have a blood sample of a black individual and a white individual, I can't tell you which one is which. If I have a blood sample of a man and a woman, I can tell you which one is which, just by running very simple elementary blood tests. So, for example, if there was a Hispanic or a white, there is no difference in
why
the
is
genetic
it?
coding. There just isn't.
Why
We
is
don't
it
see- we-
important that someone's okay.
My next claim is that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate. A lot of competition, Mason.
Yeah, exactly.
Good to see you.
It's good to see you again.
Can I define what a DEI candidate is?
I think that you're going to say because she's black and she's a woman, she was appointed because Joe Biden promised that, and it is not a testament to her
Not
success.
only that, but also in her getting the nomination, the Democrat, they said repeatedly, we do not want to pass over a black female.
Okay.
So just those two things, but the first one is stronger. You're right. Joe Biden said, I'm going to put on my vice presidency a black female.
Right.
Right. So his criteria was,
kept.
yeah, and there was like Karen Bass and Kamala Harris.
Okay.
So she was not chosen because of her intellect or her accomplishments or because of any of that. It was because she happened to fit a couple boxes. In fact, Amy Klobuchar, the vetting at the time was that Amy Klobuchar would have been a better VP, and Kamala ended up getting it. So it's just a statement of fact that she is there not because of her brilliance or accomplishments, but because of her ethnicity.
So Kamala Harris, first and foremost, there are a lot of criticisms that you can give to her on why she wouldn't be an effective president. It shouldn't be because she's a woman or because she's black. And it seems to be that you're saying that.
No, I just want people to understand and agree she didn't earn this.
She absolutely did. She has a career where she's been not only a DEI.
DEI stands for
one of the
she didn't
biggest.
earn it, just so we're clear.
But like it stands for diversity, equity, inclusion.
No,
I like the meme though.
I know what it is. But do you at least admit and acknowledge that when Joe Biden was searching for a VP, he cared more about skin color and a female than the smartest, best person.
So the whole conversation
You
with
at least
this
agree with that?
affirmative action, with DEI, the whole reason why people bring it in is to make this imaginary scenario that there's a super qualified white man who was overpassed by this unqualified, stupid idiot.
Well, hold on.
Person
But
of color,
his own-
which is such
his
a
own-
terrible
his own team
analogy
said that.
because it's not true.
His own team
It's
said
absolutely
it.
not true.
But Mason-
That's not what it is.
His
Joe
own
Biden
team-
did not say, I'm going to choose an unqualified person
Hold on.
and just
His own team. His own team
He's
said.
saying that I'm going to have two qualified people. If one comes from a different experience, it might be better to have a
No, that's not what
diversity
he
and
said.
have a better perception.
He said
in forms
he
of
said
government.
at the South Carolina
These
debate that I will pick a black woman as my vice president. Secondly, Amy Klobuchar came out.
Is this a random black
Can I-
woman
can I
that he
finish?
plucked off the street?
Can I
Or is this a
finish?
qualified
Can I
DEA
finish?
general attorney
I-
who's had a decorated career
I'd like to
leading
finish my
government
thought.
positions?
But-
you can, but you keep rambling about things that
Well,
just aren't relevant to what we're talking about.
It is relevant. Amy Klobuchar in vetting came across as the more qualified candidate.
Why?
Because they said Kamala Harris wasn't very smart, wasn't very bright. That's their own vetting document. From who? Joe Biden's own vetting documents.
So why
showed-
would he go against that?
Because the base of the Democrat Party demands tribal politics and DEI politics over competency.
That's completely
He
inaccurate.
stated to Jim Clyburn said, I will only endorse you in the South Carolina primary if you say that you're going to put a black person, preferably a black female, on your ticket with you. Therefore, you winnow the entire universe down and say, I'm only going to choose from this criteria. And let's just think more broadly. If you're about to have heart surgery, would you rather have a heart surgeon that's good and excellent, knows what he's doing, or someone that is a black female? So, and being president's more important than being a heart surgeon.
Aren't you on record saying that you'd be terrified if there was a black pilot
Yeah,
that was flying?
yes,
your
I did
airplane?
say that, but why?
Okay, cool.
What was the full quote?
I personally, I don't know. If you want to expand on that.
Yeah, so this ties into this. United Airlines said that half of all their new hirees are going to be black or women, and that standard and pursuit of excellence is not going to be taken as seriously as diversity. When I'm flying a plane, I want to know my pilot is there because they're a good pilot, not because they fit some DEI box.
Damn.
I wish we could have a better conversation.
I'm sorry, man.
You should let him went on with that one.
Fast, man.
Okay, so let's say that Kamala Harris was the DEI hire as vice president. Do you think she's also a DEI hire as the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, they decided to go to her almost immediately because she's the VP, but also because she fits some criteria boxes. But let me ask you.
You don't think it's because Joe Biden nominated or
No,
said
for sure, that's part of it. Of course it is. But let me ask you, what's her greatest achievement or accomplishment?
her greatest achievement or accomplishment? I'd say her greatest achievement or accomplishment is completely destroying the Republican Party within like 2 weeks of being nominated.
How is
Like
she-
in the polls, she's just absolutely.
Huh? Sorry. How are you? Nice to see you. What's your name?
Amanda.
Amanda.
So you believe because Kamala is black and a woman, she was chosen for
It's not
vice
my own
president?
belief. Her own team, Joe Biden said that. He said,
Joe
I
Biden
chose.
said that?
Yeah, he said, I'm first, because beforehand he said, I'm going to choose a black female for vice president. He didn't say, I'm going to choose the most gifted or the most talented or the most accomplished. He said, I'm going to choose a black female.
Mhm.
And so by definition, that is DEI.
That is not the definition of DEI. By him saying that he was going to choose a black female, that could insinuate that he already had Kamala in mind for the role. No way does that insinuate that she's DEI.
Well, what is DEI then?
DEI would be,
Choosing somebody based on their race?
no, it's giving people of color the opportunity to be welcomed into spaces in which they
Like
typically
Kamala
aren't
Harris?
able to get
There's
into.
never been a female black vice president.
And why do you think that is?
Well, not why. You just said that's DEI.
That,
By definition, she's DEI.
okay, so she
So-
represents that diversity within the government,
Well,
is
no,
what
but
you're saying.
she got elevated because she was
No.
a black female. Because
If that were the case, I'd be the president right now.
do you
like,
do you think Kamala Harris was chosen because of her intelligence?
her qualifications and her intelligence.
Really? Wow.
If you
What's her
compare a
what's her
speech
greatest
with
accomplishment?
Kamala,
What's her greatest
probably
accomplishment?
being prosecutor within the Northern Californian
Oh, really? You
area.
mean letting out violent criminals and turning San Francisco one of the most murderous, dangerous, arson-filled, homeless-filled slums in the country?
Wow.
That's her greatest accomplishment?
See, I actually went to UC Berkeley, so I lived there. I don't know if you did.
Yeah,
I went around the
Berkeley
area.
is a slum.
Berkeley's a slum. Have you stepped into Berkeley?
Yes, I have. You think Oakland and Berkeley?
Have you lived in Berkeley?
Do you-
I've lived in Oakland as well.
Do you think-
You're basing your
You think the Bay
information.
Area is like a good area in this country?
I'm from Vegas, so I'm not from the Bay. Born and raised in Vegas and went to UC Berkeley. Just graduated this year. What you're saying literally in no way, shape,
So I
or
just
form
want to be
makes
clear.
sense.
So you think her overseeing San Francisco becoming the laughingstock of the country is
San
her greatest
Francisco is not
accomplishment?
the laughingstock of the country. If anything, that's Florida. No offense, but
Well, hold on. If that's the case, why are millions of people moving to Florida and millions of people leaving California?
because there are cheaper rates there. People are moving to Las Vegas. Las Vegas has changed as a whole.
It's cheaper because it's a better run state and we don't give money to
Listen, Northern
illegals,
California
and we have
is
better
not
schools and
all.
lower
Northern
crime.
California is not the entirety of California.
Hold on a second, but
there's Southern California, Northern California.
why is it that
It's
so
a
many
very big
businesses
state.
are leaving San Francisco if she did such a great job lowering crime?
Do you know businesses go where things are cheapest to operate?
Why are they cheaper? Because they're better run states.
Do you realize that California is one of the most populated states within the U.S.? So obviously,
So is
costs are going
Texas
to be
and
higher.
California.
Not only that, but land within this state is also very,
Yes.
very, very minimal. So that's
Well, hold on, you have tons of land. You're one of the biggest states.
yes,
in
it
the
is
country.
one of the biggest lands. But do you also take into account the population that's here?
Yes,
And due
Florida
to
and
that,
Texas have a greater combined population than California, and California has more population and more land mass than Florida. Why is it that San Francisco has a declining population and Miami, Tampa, Orlando have an increasing
what does
population?
this have to do with DEI?
Because she ran San Francisco poorly, and she was chosen VP because she was a black
She
woman.
didn't run San Francisco
She was
poorly.
the DA of San Francisco.
So
and then
she's prosecuted.
And then she became the AG of California, where crime went up, homelessness went up, arson went up, kidnapping went
She's
up,
not the
murder went up.
police.
Hold
Isn't
on.
that the job of the
Hold on a
police
second.
to get the criminals and for her?
The attorney general of the state is of the state.
Yes.
And what did she do to lower crime in California?
She convicted those who were guilty.
Why did crime go up?
Because as the population increases and
Then-
this
got it. So
economy gets
why-
worse, no.
why is
As
Florida-
the
why is
economy
Florida's
gets worse,
crime rate going
people
down?
are becoming more and more desperate, which
Right,
leads
right.
to
These
past
kids,
crime.
you know,
Thank you.
These kids, they on your ass, man. They on your ass. You ain't getting them.
Mine will be quick. Mine will be really quick.
Go ahead.
Okay, so real quick, you're saying that the only reason she was elected is because she's black?
Well, first
So
of all,
that trumps her being a district attorney and all
First
the
of all, this is
accomplishments
not
she
my
has?
words. I'm just going on Joe Biden's own words.
Okay.
Joe Biden said, I'm going to preset criteria based on black women, and therefore she met that criteria, and that's why she was selected.
No, why? I think what he was trying to say is, she's just black. She was just calling her black. She's not saying he's not saying,
He made a public
he's not
promise.
saying I'm doing this because she's black.
No,
That's
he-
not what she
He
said.
made a public promise before the selection even began and the process began. I will put a black woman on the ticket.
So you're saying her being district attorney doesn't matter. That's not why.
No,
But
she
yet,
did- no, I'm saying she
Trump
did an awful
being
job.
a failed businessman and making all the weird comments he's made,
Well, hold on a
that
second.
doesn't have any,
What I'm getting at, though, is that if she was not a black woman, she never would have been chosen as vice president. Her record was abysmal. She was a terrible attorney general of California. She did poorly. I'll be quick.
I'm so sorry.
She gets the next one.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
All right.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just have to know. Do you think Tim Walz is a DEI
Yes.
candidate? Okay. I just want to see if
No,
you're consistent on that.
DEI does not mean black. Tim Walz was only chosen because the Democrat Party is doing so poorly with white men that they tried to find a white man that they could put on the ticket.
But then also,
It's true. Tim
okay.
Walz is the first white DEI candidate in history.
Okay, in the Democratic primaries, Kamala Harris
I mean,
was
it's true.
performing incredibly
He
well,
agrees.
and she wasn't performing well in the primaries just because she was black. She was performing well in the primaries because during her time as a senator, she spoke incredibly eloquently. And I used to watch when
Hold
I
on a
was
second.
little.
How did she do in the Democrat primaries?
She did like much better than Amy Klobuchar.
Hold on a second. She didn't even make it to Iowa. She dropped out months ahead of the first primary. She was super unpopular, not well liked. Her campaign fizzled out. So she was awful.
popular initially.
Initially, yes. And then the more people learned about her, the more realized she was awful.
Well, it was mostly because like progressives are really upset about her being a DA, which like can be like that's a completely
Hold on.
different
Why
conversation.
aren't progressives
But-
upset about that now?
I mean, they are, but
Oh, they are?
But,
That's news to me.
But, I
Everyone's
mean,
talking about how great a
no,
prosecutor she is.
progressives are definitely upset about the like how like the Biden administration has handled like the atrocities in Gaza and how like there are definitely things that Democrats are upset about. However, that's not the point of this conversation. And
That's correct. That is not the point.
that's
Correct.
not the point. What the point is that a lot of
Yeah, you had to get to your point a little bit faster there, young girl. Got to get to your point faster. Come on.
Aw, thanks, guys. Okay. Hi, how you doing?
Great.
So, you keep saying that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, and I feel like my main fallacy with this argument is that competency can't be objectively determined because we all have subjective definitions of what a competent politician is. But my question for you is, if Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, why is she beating Trump in the polls right now?
We'll see what happens in November.
Okay, but she's currently beating Trump in the polls. So either
If the polls are right, I grant you that.
he's incompetent,
or maybe she's a new candidate with a big surge.
she's doing good.
I would caution you being a little like.
Damn, she's beating him in the polls right now. That's so long ago. She's beating him in the polls right now, but he just just came out of nowhere and skyrocketed and beat the Elon Musk and all that type shit. So this telling her right now, she was beating the fuck out of her.
At this point in the election, getting too cocky because we remember what happened. With
I'm not getting cocky. I'm asking you to answer a question. If she is incompetent, how could she beat the president, who you said is an amazing
As of the timing of this filming,
for...
can you name to me how many times she sent for an interview?
What?
She
No.
refuses to talk to the press, refuses to take questions. She's done not one sit-down interview in nearly 25 days at the filming of this interview, mind you.
I think that is a very weird point to make.
Well,
why would I
why is
count how many times Kamala Harris
because
has
it's
had an
zero,
interview?
because she refuses to take questions from the press and media? Like, shouldn't you do that if you're the sitting vice president?
She's...
He actually did 3 last Sunday and 1 today with Meet the Press.
So the qualification of a good
Debating her
president is to take an interview?
If you can't take a single question, but let me ask you this, because it's on you. What's her greatest accomplishment as vice president?
As vice president, being the first female all-black president. We've never had that
No,
before.
like, I got that, but like, what's her accomplishment that made people's lives better?
I don't know. Vice presidents don't really do much, to be honest.
Can you name one thing she's done that's good?
No, probably not. Thank you. The Inflation Reduction Act.
Oh, really? Did that lower inflation? What's your name?
Brad
Nice to
Brady.
meet
Nice to meet you. I like the idea. 30 seconds on, 30 seconds
Let's
off.
do
I think the best thing I could say about this is you have your opinion and I can have mine. You believe that Donald Trump was a good president. I maybe don't believe that. You believe that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate for the position of president. I don't believe that. What I'm getting to is, what do you gain from this? If I concede and say that Kamala Harris is the DEI candidate, what do you gain? Because I know what it is. You're baiting us into rage so that you can make money on your TikTok account. You're baiting college students all over.
There you go. There you go. There's always one. He know it all.
For the world, and to arguing with you over these fallacies. You throw a red herring out there and you're making money from this account while we're sitting here and looking stupid.
First of all, I don't control this account.
Come on, man. What's that? He like, man, hold on. What's that, man? You making money off of us, man. I ain't trying to hear that shit. You making
Donald Trump was a good president. I maybe don't believe that. You believe that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate for the position of president. I don't believe that. What I'm getting to is, what do you gain from this? If I concede and say that Kamala Harris is the DEI candidate, what do you gain? Because I know what it is. You're baiting us into rage so that you can make money on your TikTok account. You're baiting college students all over the world, and to arguing with you over these fallacies. You throw a red herring out there and you're making money from this account while we're sitting here and looking stupid.
First of all, I don't control this account. I'm a guest here. This is Jubilee Media, and they're going to edit it as they see fit. 2, it needs to be acknowledged.
Watch how Shorty call them out. Watch this. He gonna call him out. He like, all right. You know, it always.
Donald Trump was a good president.
You gotta be one brainiac in the group. I said, watch how Shorty call him out. You know, it gotta be.
What's your name?
Brad Brady. Nice to meet you.
It gotta be one, but you know what I mean, to know it all. You know, he done did all the inspection and everything. You know what I mean? he bigger than what they talking about. Yeah, he bigger than what everybody else talking about.
I like the idea. 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. I think the best thing I could say about this is you have your opinion and I can have mine. You believe that Donald Trump was a good president. I maybe don't believe that. You believe that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate for the position of president. I don't believe that. What I'm getting to is, what do you gain from this? If I concede and say that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, what do you gain? Because I know what it is. You're baiting us into rage so that you can make money on your TikTok account. You're baiting college students all over the world into arguing with you over these fallacies. You throw a red herring out there, and you're making money from this account while we're sitting here and looking stupid.
First of all, I don't control this account.
Where my money, nigga? Who the fuck you talking about, man? You playing with us, man. You making cash. We want half. That's him. You always get one. You always want he want half of that. You making money off of TikTok accounts, man. I want a certain percentage. Let's see the all right, let me see his age. All right. Let's see. No, there. I don't want that. That ain't what I want. See the dude age right quick. Yeah, all right. See. Gee. All right. Oh. All right. I don't want to see that.
Could you state your name? Tyler James Robinson.
Tyler Robinson, the suspected killer of political activist Charlie Kirk, who was brazenly gunned down in cold blood last week in front of a packed crowd out in Utah, has officially been charged and appeared in court for the very first time. We are breaking down all of the legal angles of today's developments, from the charges, the evidence, anyone else going to be arrested, and most importantly, what can we expect next? Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Webb.
See? Look at him. College kid. Look like one of he was debating this shit.
We have charges and a first court appearance for 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, the man accused of shooting to death political activist Charlie Kirk last week at a speaking debating engagement at Utah Valley University. And I want to get into what just happened at this first court appearance, right? We're going to talk about the charges, the defenses, evidence, discord, a lot about that too, federal charges. But what did the day start with? There was a press conference held out in Utah to announce the formal state charges against Tyler Robinson. Here's Utah County Attorney Jeffrey Gray.
I am filing a criminal information charging Tyler James Robinson, age 22, with the following crimes. Count 1, aggravated murder.
22. So that's still college age, right?
A capital offense for intentionally or knowingly causing the death of Charlie Kirk under circumstances that created a great risk of death to others. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony. The state is further alleging aggravating factors on counts 1 and 2 because the defendant is believed to have targeted Charlie Kirk based on Charlie Kirk's political expression and did so knowing that children were present and would witness the homicide. The state is also charging defendant with count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for moving and concealing the rifle used in the shooting. Count 4, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for disposing the clothing he wore during the shooting. Count 5, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to delete his incriminating texts. Count 6, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to stay silent if police questioned him. And count 7, commission of a violent offense in the presence of a child, a Class A misdemeanor, for committing homicide knowing that children were present and may have seen or heard the murder and did so based on Charlie Kirk's political expression.
Okay, again, those are state charges, not federal charges, state charges. And Gray announced that they plan to file a notice of intent to seek the death penalty here. Yes, there are some new details. Yes, there are new charges here, because when you look at the original probable cause affidavit that listed murder and obstruction and the firearm discharge charges, those were the ones he was booked on. We now learned about these aggravating factors, right? About children and political expression and these witness tampering and additional obstruction and violent offense charges. This is new. And by the way, Gray revealed a lot more details too that are going to be pivotal in this case. Reading from the criminal information that was filed here, and yes, there's no grand jury that's necessarily used in Utah, but this is kind of like the indictment of criminal information. Aside from all of this surveillance footage allegedly capturing Robinson before, during, and after the shooting, including on the roof, you need to listen to this. They claim that he deposited the rifle in the woods right after the shooting, right? The information says, quote, the rifle, ammunition rounds, and towel were sent for forensic processing. DNA consistent with Robinson's was found on the trigger, other parts of the rifle, the fired cartridge casing, 2 of the 3 unfired cartridges, and the towel. Wow. Oh, and also, quote, police executed a search warrant on Robinson's residence. During that search, police discovered a shell casing with etchings like the etchings found on the shells in the rifle near UVU. Police also found several targets with bullet holes in Robinson's home. So not only do they have evidence linking him to this alleged crime, they're also trying to show, right, preparation, planning. And these etchings that were found with the alleged murder weapon, what am I talking about? Notices bulge OWO. What's this? Hey, fascist, catch. Oh, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow, Chow. If you read this, you are gay. So we go back to the idea, if they found etchings at his place that are consistent with this, it's pretty strong. You might think watching Sidebar, you've seen it all. Think again. Why? 50 Ways to Catch a Killer. This brings you real cases where detectives had to flip the script to take down cold-blooded killers. It's hosted by 50 Cent, and this isn't your typical crime show, okay? It is a high-stakes, twist-filled ride with the minds of investigators who think outside the badge to break the case. From unforgettable setups to shocking reveals, every episode proves when killers think they got away with murder, think again. Watch 50 Ways to Catch a Killer with 50 Cent exclusively on Fox Nation. So the information also goes into how Robinson's mother and father suspected he was the shooter based on the images that were released by law enforcement. They apparently spoke to him on the phone. They had a family friend help turn himself in. So now you're talking about potential witnesses who will testify against him, okay? But we got to talk about this roommate, okay? This roommate is so important to this case. You may have seen reporting about the roommate. Governor Spencer Cox had announced that the roommate was cooperating. And now you are seeing how Robinson is accused of trying to get this roommate to delete evidence and stay quiet. But the criminal information and Gray, my gosh, revealed something else. Confirmed what was reported, that Robinson was apparently in this romantic relationship with this roommate, who Robinson's mother claimed was a biological male transitioning genders. But here is what the criminal information says. On September 10th, 2025, the roommate received a text message from Robinson which said, "Drop what you're doing, look under my keyboard." The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and I'm going to take it." Police found a photograph of this note. After reading the note, the roommate responded in a text, "What?" with a ton of question marks, and "You're joking, right?" To which Robinson replies, and I'm going to read portions of this text message exchange, I am still okay, my love, but I'm stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you. The roommate writes, you weren't the one who did it, right? And Robinson allegedly replies, I am. I'm sorry. The roommate then later asks why, to which Robinson allegedly writes back, why did I do it? Roommate, yeah, Robinson. I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. Roommate
Damn.
It also asks, how long have you been planning this? To which Robinson allegedly replies, a bit over a week, I believe. And then Robinson allegedly writes about getting the rifle. I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. I don't know if I had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about Prince. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits, didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find Prince. How the bleep will I explain losing it to my old man? Goes on to say, remember how I was engraving bullets? The bleeping messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notices bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke. Robinson then allegedly texts, delete this exchange and don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask for a lawyer and stay silent. So that makes up the witness.
So basically, he got taken out. And what we was just listening to about the like shit about that's kind of crazy. They took them. So basically, hold on. Let me see some. Let's see some. Let's see this. Can't say it was black people, bro. Hold on. That's what Jimmy was trying to say. He can't say it was black people.
Who's driver? You the driver?
Yeah.
Can you tell me just really quick what happened?
I was coming this way and was just passing through and he pulled out from here, or no, from there, I think.
Do you remember which lane you were in?
I was in one of those two lanes going this way. I think in the right, in the rightmost lane coming this way.
Okay.
And he would have been there going left. And as I was coming through, he turned in and T-boned into the side.
Okay. Do you remember looking at the light?
Yeah, it just turned yellow as I was getting into the intersection.
Gotcha. Okay, are either one of you injured in any way, shape, or form? No, nothing hurts? Hey, do you have your registration and proof of insurance on your vehicle?
And they went all the way back to 2020.
Same address. So you're just passing now. Okay. His insurance, mom's on the way. He doesn't have a copy right now, right? Okay. That'll work out. I'll just go ahead and...
So this Charlie Kirk killer, Tyler Robinson, I guess, being pulled over by the police. We just gonna check out his personality. Hold on.
You need to be on speaker? He's got his pull up on his phone. I just have the picture of it if you want me to text it to you.
Yeah, just text it to me. Over down. There you go, bud. All right.
And then, did you get a record coming for this?
Yeah, I got one coming for this one.
Okay. He's gonna need one too. He's gonna leak it. Did you get one? Patrol 313. We're gonna need a record for the 6 Juliet Fox as well. On her way?
Yeah, she's gonna be a minute. She's gotta shuttle over from where she's at to her car and then drive over.
Gotcha. Okay, what I need you to do is just fill out this witness statement for me. This is just your identifying information. Down here, put exactly what you told me that happened. Are you brothers or friends?
Yeah.
Okay, I just need his, down here, just put name, date of birth, your address, and your phone number. That work just right down here. I have to list him as a passenger. Okay, are you injured in any way, shape, or form? No? Okay. Perfect. Okay, just give us a couple of minutes and we'll get the paperwork. All right? And we're going to have a tow truck come and get your car since you're leaking fluids. You're not going to last too long.
Just as I left the house, put oil in.
Of course.
Just topped it up.
Welcome to real life. Yeah, that's Murphy. We're working. All right, guys. Just hang tight. Hey, buddy, y'all done?
I need a sign in front of you?
Yes, please. Okay. Did you make any statements to him after the incident happened?
I said, "Are you all right?" And then as we pulled up here, I had you check on that.
Okay. All right. Did you make a statement saying that it was your fault?
No.
What's that?
No. When I got out, I was worried, so that's when I was like, "Yeah, it wasn't your fault. It was our fault. We both messed up." And I first went up to him and to check on him.
Okay. You said that to him?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what do you mean by that?
I think it was just trying, not to...
Okay, because you guys have a couple different versions about what happened. So we had a third party witness that watched the entire thing. I'm just trying to clarify your guys' story a little bit. So you're heading
from that rightmost through lane through the intersection. And maybe a second or so before I reached the intersection, the light changed yellow.
Okay, do you remember looking at the light?
Yeah, I was looking up at the light just before getting there.
Okay.
I saw it shift yellow. And as I get into the intersection, there was a vehicle in the lane between the leftmost through lane that was forward some.
So people on the side of you were slowing down to a stop.
I seen someone slowing down. I wondered why they had.
Charlie Kirk killer. They on the tip of showing everything. Killer when he was at get pulled over by the police. Let's see, man. Let me see. They done put a whole everything in this.
I wanted the most.
Everything. I don't know what Republicans have, but they ain't get this much publicity yet.
They carried the weight of a truth no parent ever wants to face. In that moment, a father wasn't protecting his son. He was exposing him. He was holding out the one thread that could unravel everything Tyler had tried to hide. What kind of father does that and why? Think about it. Most parents will fight to shield their children from the harshest consequences, but here, faced with the images of a rooftop sniper and the name of a national figure lying in a hospital, Matt Robinson made a choice. He chose to point the finger at his own blood. He chose justice over loyalty, accountability over silence. But what led to that moment? What warnings did the family see in the days and weeks before the shooting? Could they have spoken up earlier? And most haunting of all, if they had, would Charlie Kirk still be alive today? This is not just the story of a public figure killed at a campus event. It is the story of a family living under the same roof as a young man unraveling before father. father forced into an impossible position, and a nation that must ask, how many times do we look away until the cost is too great? Because this case isn't only about a bullet fired in Utah. It's about the silence of those closest to the shooter, the weight of a father's conscience, and the line between and protecting everyone else from them. And as we break this case open piece by piece, I want you here with us. So if you haven't already, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because every new update matters. And together, we're going to uncover the full story.
True. That's what we gonna do. We gonna unfold the full story of this shit here. Cause it seemed like he got hit up by a whole coat, a college coat, a whole college coat hit him up, man. And then between the coat, it was a gay coat.
About America's future. He filled arenas, led campus tours, and pushed debates into living rooms across the country. But away from the spotlight, those close to him described a man who laughed easily, who leaned on his faith, and who believed he was doing his part to shape a better world. That's what makes what...
Sean Buck, come on, man. He giving a Martin Luther King speech. Hold on.
Expression. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to... My name is Spidey, and I use my degree in sociology and psychology, my certifications in criminal interrogation and body language analysis, and my experience as an award-winning mentalist to teach people behavioral analysis and practical psychology on stage and television shows all over the world. This week's case is a doozy. There is so much going on. So Tyler Robinson, the primary suspect in the Charlie Kirk assassination, showed up in court for the first time this week. Now, a lot of news outlets have reported that he was very stoic and non-reactive, and although that's very true for long stretches of this, there are little moments where some emotion and thoughts are coming through, but there's this really massive inconsistency that nobody is talking about, and the only reason I noticed is because I was watching 2 feeds of this hearing simultaneously, and something didn't add up, and from a behavioral standpoint, that distinction is huge. So we're definitely going to talk about that. And finally, a lot of you requested that we talk about the text exchange that was released to the public between Tyler Robinson and his roommate / romantic partner. And we're going to talk about those as well, because there's a lot going on in there. So without further ado, let's jump right into the footage of his court appearance.
51403-576, State of Utah versus Tyler James Robinson. Could you state your name?
Tyler James Robinson.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Robinson. I'm Judge Graff. Mr. Scortis. So, Mr. Robinson, you have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, the court can appoint an attorney to represent you. I have reviewed your declaration of financial status and find that you are indigent. I'm provisionally appointing a Rule 8 qualified attorney to represent you on your case, Mr. Robinson. Mr. Robinson, I also wish to inform you of your right against self-incrimination. Anything that you say in court today could be used against you, and we want to protect your constitutional rights. Mr. Robinson, at this time, you will remain in custody without bail. Mr. Scortis, is there any other points that you wish to address?
No, thank you very much.
He is giving away quite a bit. The first one is when the judge says, "Thank you for being here. I'm Judge Graff," and we get a baseline for his acknowledgement. So when he acknowledges, we get this one downward pop with the chin like this. This is something that he's going to do throughout his appearance whenever something is said directly to him and he acknowledges it. And there are a couple of very important details here. One, it's just one pop downwards. That's very important. The chin goes down. Second, he maintains eye contact. So it looks exactly like that. Immediately after the introductions, when things are about to get started, we see him open his mouth, which is rare, and we see him take a deep breath that moves up into the chest. We know that because we see a visible breath. And this usually happens when we're stressed, feeling anxiety, and that makes perfect sense here. The introductions are done. We're about to begin. Here we go. When the judge says to him that he has right to an attorney, again, we get that exact same baseline acknowledgement. Chin down, eye contact, one pop. This is exactly what he does when he goes, okay, I understand. Immediately after that, as the judge is saying what would happen if he can't afford one, if you cannot afford one, we see his eyes slowly going downwards and his eyelids even close just a little bit. So everything is shifting down. Now, as a general rule in body language, when we're excited or happy, things go up. We call these gravity-defying gestures, and it's even in the language, right? I'm jumping for joy. I'm on cloud 9. I'm in the clouds. These are all positive things. And when someone's in a negative mood, we use language that goes the other way, downwards. He's feeling down, he's feeling low, and we see it in the body language as well. Research has shown that we perk up with happiness, we take up more space as well, and with sadness, we take up less space and things come downwards. So as he's talking about not being able to afford an attorney, we start to see these negative emotions setting in. Things are coming down. Now, here's where things get really interesting, especially because we've established a baseline for acknowledgement. When the judge says, I've reviewed your declaration of financial status, again, we get that same acknowledgement. One pop downward, eye contact maintained. But as the judge goes on to say that he's going to appoint a lawyer to him, we again see a nod, but it's very different from the acknowledgement nod. This time, the chin goes upwards like this, and we see an eye block, which is a very slow blink as he comes back down. So this is a subtle difference, but for someone who typically acknowledges downwards while maintaining eye contact, this time we have pretty much the opposite of that. Chin's going up as we're blocking eyes. So the research on eye blocking is really fascinating because it shows that we're of doing this. Even children who were born blind eye block in certain moments. And it happens in one of two cases. So think of the eyelids as the garage doors to your thoughts, and either we're trying to keep them in or not let them come in. So you might see it if somebody's experiencing something really happy or great news. They might close their eyes as they're celebrating because they want to hold on to this emotion. Or when someone gets bad news, you might see it because they just don't want to deal with it. They don't want to focus on this thing. Before we put it all together, let's talk about the chin going upwards. So this could mean a lot of things depending on context. Research has shown that everywhere in the world, universally, when the chin goes up, this happens with pride. When we're fearless or when we're feeling proud, chin goes up. Again, remember, positive, up. But it's also exposing the neck, showing that we have nothing to fear. That's one place we might see it. Another place we very often see it universally as well is when it's not held, but just a quick pop with a throwaway, like a dismissal of something. Very often associated, especially in the Middle East, with the sound like this, so like that. It's like a, no, I'm good, just a throwaway. So in this case, context absolutely matters. Notice how it's happening, just this one pop with this slow blink as he comes back down. And I think the throwaway is exactly what's happening here, especially because we have someone who acknowledges like this. So this is very different with that eye block. I think what's happening is as he's being told about this court-appointed attorney, he's basically going, oh, what's that going to do? Like, I'm in so deep, like, what's that guy going to be able to do for me? And then notice how right after that, as the judge concludes this whole thought and says, Mr. Robinson, we get one more, that classic acknowledgement like this. So we had the classic acknowledgement, then this different nod, and then the classic acknowledgement. Again, normally you would expect, okay, got it, okay. But here it's more like, okay, okay. So we're getting some negativity between those two acknowledgements. Now, I want to throw a quick caveat at this and this whole context, because this is an analysis of a reaction. And that's very, very interesting for me because, of course, when we're looking at an interview or an interaction, when the person's speaking, we're getting feedback, we have more confidence on our reads because we know what they're saying, we know what's in their head, and the behaviors are associated to that thought. With reactions, we're not always certain. What if the thoughts wandered? What if he thought about something else when the guy said attorney? We can't really know. But keep in mind, this is literally my wheelhouse. It's where I got my 50,000 hours of practice of reading people because my career for over 18 years has been to bring people up on stage in front of an audience, and I look at what I see and I start feeding things about themselves, and I'm looking for these little micro gestures as I'm talking to adjust my read. And my job is to look for those little distinctions, know what they mean, call that meaning out, and have the person go, oh my God, how did you know that? And the audience applaud. So I'm constantly looking for these little shifts and distinctions. So what I do in mentalism is a mix of trickery, but in the cold reading aspect has a lot of exactly this. And if I saw this in a real world context, when I'm doing a reading, someone acknowledging along like this, and then I say something and I get this slow blink with this.
Reflect from all that to this. Let's see. We're going to jump from all that.
At MGM Casino, there are so many.
We're going to jump from all that to this right here. Let's see something.
World's most powerful.
I was just a toy to be used.
And dangerous.
I got out of it. It was an escape, but it was an escape with a happy ending.
But Virginia Giuffre kept another secret.
She was telling us, like, this is what I'm really going through.
Now, her family revealed
It's just like this switch.
her private pain
I have never seen my sister that weak.
and final wishes.
We want to make sure the world knows.
Virginia Giuffre was an incredibly courageous woman. She made global headlines for taking on and bringing down billionaire pedophile Jeffrey Epstein and his accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell. In the process, she also revealed she'd been trafficked to Prince Andrew. But very few knew of the private battle she endured at home. Virginia died in April this year. Now, members of her family, along with her closest confidants, are sharing never-before-seen photos, details from her personal diaries, and other witness accounts about what was really happening in her life. They say it was Virginia's final wish to tell the world about the agony of her last days.
Here's my goofy. This is how goofy. She's my goofy sister. That like sums her up in like one picture right there. Do you want to know who she was? This right here, 100%.
Goofy and cheeky is how Sky Roberts and Danny Wilson remember their sister, Virginia Giuffre. To the rest of the world, she may have symbolised strength, taking on some of society's most powerful, accusing them of abuse and sex trafficking.
I won't stop fighting. I will never be silenced until these people are brought to justice.
But to these bereft brothers, she'll always be their Jenna, as they called her, to cherish and protect.
As siblings, I mean, this shows you like how much we loved each other, like how much we would lean on each other. And I think that's why we're here right now with you guys. It's why we're reading through her journals. It's why we flew up to Australia and did everything in our power because, you know, we loved her.
And your family.
Yep.
Praying for an angel to
On her property north of Perth, Virginia took her own life. Her death ended months of physical and emotional turmoil.
I got on the phone with a private plane company to go get her. We were going to do everything in our power to get her.
But tonight, the distressing account from those left behind. Their desperate race across the world to save Virginia.
Now I'm starting to get a little bit nervous and like, okay, something's wrong now. Like, I need to get in there.
And for the first time, they shared the terrible secret Virginia kept for 22 years. The truth behind her picture-perfect marriage.
She was telling us like, hey, this is what I'm really going through.
The evidence you've never heard. And they were responding to a 911 call, a call for help?
Right. She'd been assaulted by her husband.
From the sheriff to the DA, witnesses to a marriage marred by violence.
The bruise to her eye and her cheek area was one of the worst I have seen.
And in Australia, allegations of the latest brutal attack.
And she said, I swear it was just like this switch, like he just snapped.
Then the bewildering twist. Why, despite the obvious injuries, did police believe her estranged husband and not her? And what do you make of Robbie's claim that was self-inflicted, that he did not beat her?
You cannot do what she did to herself. Her sternum was cracked. Her face was beaten.
This country is a second chance for a lot of people. For me, it was a second chance at a new life. I'll always be grateful to Australia. It's down to his blood. I love it.
We first met Virginia in 2019. She was living near Cairns then, indulging her passion for animals and the quiet life. The cane fields of Queensland really were a world away from Manhattan, where Virginia was the most prominent voice in the fight to expose sex abuser billionaire Jeffrey Epstein and his twisted co-conspirator and girlfriend, socialite Ghislaine Maxwell. She accused them both of serial abuse and human sex trafficking, much of it here at Epstein's New York mansion.
There's a lot of scars hidden behind those walls. It should be ripped down. It should be burned to the ground. Some of my worst memories are from this place.
But her most high-profile scalp was undoubtedly Prince Andrew, who was stripped of his Royal Highness title and duties. Virginia famously claimed to have been trafficked to him 3 times by Maxwell.
This is a real photo.
And that was the first time you met him?
And that's the very first time I met him. And that's right before I was abused by him.
And Virginia said she was underage at the time.
It's about time that we all stand up together and stop letting the perpetrators, the very strong and powerful, involved in this case in particular, get back into silence. Times have changed. I think the tide of the Me Too.
What no one knew was behind the extraordinary victory on the public stage, Virginia was staying silent on a very private battle. She has since alleged her Australian husband, Robbie Giuffre, had been coercive and violent throughout their marriage, with her gone and unsettling to watch them together. I interviewed the couple 5.5 years ago, and back then, neither gave any clue to problems of any kind. Instead, much was made of Robbie's role in rescuing Virginia in 2002 from Epstein's clutches. She was in Thailand, sent by Epstein to study massage. Robbie was a martial arts instructor there at the same time. Incredibly, just 3 days after meeting her, he popped the question.
Yeah, still remember when I won down one knee, old-fashioned style, and proposed.
Yeah. Goodness, how could you both be so certain of each other after such a short amount of time?
Yeah, that's the magical question. You just know.
You just know?
Personally, I knew he was the one when he told me the way that your life is going right now, the people that are abusing you, it's not right. And you don't have to live like that. And he was the first person to tell me that.
This might seem a bit harsh or mean to ask you, but did either of you think that instead of true love, that this was an escape route?
It was an escape, but it was an escape with a happy ending.
Yes.
Still
I knew
is.
she was the one. I knew her from the first time I met her.
Even then, not everything was as it seemed. And in the years after, according to Virginia's brother Sky Roberts, their marriage spiraled.
This was the man that, in her perception, took her away from Epstein, right? Like where he did, he helped get her away. And you would expect that to be like the Prince Charming story where you ride off into the distance and it's this beautiful ending. But it's not. I think over the course of years, it developed into this physical and emotional abuse.
In September last year, Virginia and Robbie separated. But it is only now that Virginia's allegations of Robbie's coercive control and violence are being made widely known.
Robert's behavior became more controlling. The stronger I became, the scarier he became.
We would not be aware of the extent of the abuse if not for Virginia's diary. It's on these pages she shared her painful and personal secret, her final words, only discovered after her death.
Wavered as he constantly accused me of being unfaithful almost on a daily basis, monitoring me via the many cameras he has set up at Ocean.
Sky is reading out his sister's words, certain she wanted to reveal the reality of her life behind closed doors.
Not allowed to go downstairs when any mail was over, and that was every day. I became a prisoner.
Did she explain why she kept that secret?
I think there was just this sense of like how strong she was in the public eye, but then she couldn't fight the demon of, what was going on in her own home. And her own home is really what her hardest battle of her life was. And we want to be strong for her. And we want to make sure the world knows her truth and, what she wanted people to know and understand about her.
Up next, the holiday that ended in hospital, and the courts issue a restraining order against Virginia, not Robert.
I'm not going to say what's coming to my mind there.
Why don't you tell me what's on your mind?
Inflicted, how did she run into his hand? I mean...
It's all
In January this year, picturesque Dunsborough in Western Australia was the destination of Virginia Giuffre and her estranged husband, Robbie. Virginia had booked this holiday home for the family. Instead, according to the mum of three, it was where Robbie verbally and physically assaulted her near 3 months before she died in late April.
She started to tell us what happened. We knew they were separated for some time.
Virginia told her sister-in-law and brother, Amanda and Sky Roberts, the alleged attack was her breaking point. They're sharing the harrowing details and these confronting photos for the first time, following Virginia's wishes to let the world know the violence she says she lived with.
He wanted to be intimate with her, and she said she first tried to laugh it off and, oh no, and she said, I swear it was just like this switch, like he just snapped. And before I knew it, he was just on top of me and just raining down blows on top of me. And she said that he's had her in like a martial arts position. There was bruising all over her chest, and his ring imprint was on her cheek. And she said that she had a cracked sternum and a perforated eye.
Lynette Wilson, Virginia's other sister-in-law, was accustomed to seeing her as the rest of us did, unafraid to expose abusers,
This is a real photo.
no matter how powerful or wealthy. But following the alleged assault in January, Lynette discovered another side to this trailblazer. How devastating was it for you to see those photos of her?
It gives me goosebumps right now thinking about it, because she's this strong woman, and that's, I've known her actually since she was a little girl. She's gone through so much, and she's always had this joyful, presenting outlook, and, to see in that moment her hurt and fear, it was startling.
It would appear Virginia and Robert have very different accounts of what happened here in Dunsborough, though both admit there was violence. From what Virginia told family back in the States, after she rejected Robert's request for sex, he physically assaulted her, punching her over and over. But Robert's version has Virginia as the aggressor. He has made allegations that after their conversation deteriorated into an argument, Virginia assaulted him with headbutts, punches, and spitting. He claimed all he could do was to try and protect himself by covering his face and fleeing as soon as he could. As for Virginia's obvious injuries, Robert alleges she caused those to herself.
I don't think she could have caused a fractured sternum and caused bruising that she had on her body. Just don't think that it's possible. And I believe Virginia and what she said about what happened that night.
Carrie Loudon was Virginia's lawyer and friend. She believes Virginia's injuries look like she came off second best in a one-sided fight. On top of previous injuries from accidents and back surgery, she says Virginia was already very incapacitated and required a carer. Robbie said he suffered bruising and scratches, that he was spat on, and that he feared for his safety and the safety of his children. Why are you laughing?
It's just absurd. It just beggars belief that he could say that he was physically scared and threatened by Virginia, who had a full-time carer. She was unable to live independently because of her injuries and health concerns.
Robbie made allegations against Virginia's mental health at the time, saying that she was unwell, manipulative and unpredictable. Did you see any evidence of that instability that might have caused her to attack him?
No, I didn't see anything from Virginia that would have caused her to attack him or for her to be physically able to attack him. I just don't think it was possible.
Virginia called the police the next morning. On seeing her, they advised her to go to the local Bustleton hospital. Police then investigated Robbie for assault, but say there was insufficient evidence to charge him. What did Robbie tell police?
Robbie told police something along the lines of that Virginia had inflicted these injuries on herself and that he hadn't touched her. That's what the police had relayed to me and to Virginia about why they closed the case.
So they accepted that at face value?
The only two people who knew what happened was Virginia and Robbie, and they believed Robbie's version of events over Virginia's.
Despite claiming he'd been assaulted and injured by Virginia, Robbie never sought medical help. He did, however, go to court and, as the process allows, was armed only with his version of events. The magistrate granted him a 6-month family violence restraining order against Virginia. It forbade her from going within 25 metres of her estranged husband or their home. Back in the States, Virginia's brother, Sky, cannot be persuaded by police or the court. To him, his sister's bruises are proof she was the victim. He says the gravest injustice against her was being banned from seeing or contacting 2 of her 3 children, who were under 18 at the time.
That shocked me. I was confused because how can you put a violence restraining order on somebody who has been abused? You would traditionally think that that would be on the person that is the abuser.
In the US, Robbie's allegations against Virginia have raised doubts because it's here in Colorado that he has prior form for domestic violence against Virginia. In 2015, Sheriff Dale King was part of the investigation that led to Robbie's conviction. Dale is sad to admit he was not surprised to learn of Virginia's recent injuries. So her allegation was that Robbie did that to her.
Right.
His allegation is that it was self-inflicted.
I'm not going to say what's coming to my mind there. We'll just...
Why don't you tell me what's on your mind?
Inflicted how? Did she run into his hand? I mean...
In 2014, chased by the media frenzy surrounding the Epstein case, Virginia, Robbie and the kids escaped to tiny Penrose in Colorado. The peace Virginia sought in this one-horse town was shattered when, in a peak of anger, Robbie physically attacked her.
The dog had done something, and he got mad and grabbed the dog. I believe she's like in a headlock. I mean, put his head right here and started punching the dog. And she got down and she tried to stop him and she tried to pull him off, and he turns attention from the dog and starts hitting her.
So this isolated property is one that you know pretty well.
Yes, this is where Jenna and Robert, they lived when they were here.
In Colorado, the authorities take domestic violence very seriously. That night, Robbie was arrested, removed from the family home, and put in jail.
She had some bruising on this side of her, the left side of her face.
And immediate support was provided to Virginia, who the next morning met with the local district attorney, Amy Wren.
I highly doubt that was his first time assaulting her.
And why do you say that?
Just the severity of the assault, and most offenders don't immediately go to that level of assault.
How would you describe that level of assault?
I was surprised she didn't have any broken bones in her face. The bruise to her eye and her cheek area was one of the worst I have seen for what would be a misdemeanor assault here.
Severe as
They went all the way back to this supposed to be a Epstein. This lady died, committed suicide. Seemed like all these people dying or committed suicide involved with this. He tried to get the lady out of jail. She probably become dismissed too. Something ain't right. Take the focus off of this with something else. See.
Pleaded guilty to domestic violence. And as a first-time offender in Colorado, he was given probation as long as he underwent a 26-week course addressing violent behaviour and coercive control. Did you have any sense, or did either of them say to you whether this had happened in the past?
No. But there were injuries this time. And he was beating on the dog first, she told me. I don't think that probably was the first time.
It's no crazy.
Sheriff Dale King's instincts may well be right if Virginia's own words are to be believed. 3 weeks before her death, Virginia sent a disturbing bombshell text to her New York publicist Deanie von Merfling, accusing Robbie of abusing her as far back as 2010, just after the birth of her third child, and 5 years before his conviction for domestic violence in Colorado.
She wrote to me on April 4th. He was coming down off a 3-day bender and punched me in the face, which dropped me to the floor and continuously kicked me in the stomach. This man has been violent throughout the whole marriage. I did call the cops on him, who turned up, and by that time, Rob reverently pled on his hands and knees not to charge him. He always apologized and said that he needed help and would never do anything like that again. But as time went on, it only got worse. I'm shattered even writing this.
What was it like for you to read it?
I mean, I was devastated. To think that this is the life that she was living and that it was much more prevalent than anyone could have guessed.
Does it make you sad?
That's an understatement.
What sort of a person did you find in Virginia?
Wait a minute. Can I get up there?
Of course. Coming up, tracking down the Australian witness who backs Virginia's claims that she'd long been a victim of domestic violence.
It was clearly a very obvious black eye.
Why she kept messing with the same type people? Like, she kept messing with the same type motherfuckers.
Of domestic violence against her husband, Robbie. She alleged to family and friends violence occurred throughout their 22-year marriage, but detailed in particular one assault she says happened while living in Australia in 2010. We've now tracked down witnesses who support that allegation. They're a part of the couple's circle and say they remember the time clearly.
She had a great sense of humour, very intelligent.
This seemed like more her being domestic in a domestic relationship than the Epstein shit.
Which resulted in a restraining her messages and to send these outrageous texts.
He'd say things like, you know, send us the dates, stupid. Shut up, stupid. This one's pretty yucky. This one I think is very, very important because it states, you know, and this is to my mom from Virginia in her words, Rob's being very rude. The only way to try to hurt me is to hurt you. I'm so sorry. Please ignore his texts.
Quite disturbing.
They're very disturbing. And I think this is the type of human being he is. There's even one here.
With Virginia's death, Robbie's heartlessness was further exposed. Her family asked for a small amount of Virginia's ashes to be sent to them. Robbie has never bothered to respond.
You know, at that point, the mission was get my mom what she wants. Mom doesn't care about money or stuff. She just wanted a little cup of her ashes. And we called and we emailed and we texted, and we were very careful about the way that we presented it because they
evidence of collusion or conspiracy. There was no client list, no blackmail, nothing left behind at all. The banker who spent his career building a mysterious fortune while he managed money for billionaire clients that probably didn't exist, while also trafficking girls to and from a private island in the Caribbean at the same time as he hosted some of the world's foremost politicians, businessmen, intellectuals, and celebrities as house guests, he had acted completely alone. It was all an unfortunate coincidence and nothing more. The story of Jeffrey Epstein faded into the past as the world kept turning.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Or at least that's what the story would have been if there weren't already mountains and mountains of evidence of Epstein being not just a psychopath, but also at the center of a crime ring that involved the world's most powerful people, procuring victims for them to abuse together. Even now, with the federal government conflicting themselves and going back on their word in regards to his case, the controversy and mystery around Jeffrey Epstein has reached a fever pitch. Silence doesn't make it go away. It's only made the questions grow louder as people's trust in our leadership is turning to dust. But in order to understand how Jeffrey Epstein was allowed to happen, what made him the monster he was, we have to go all the way back to the beginning, before the island, before the fortunes, before the world knew his name, and we have to take a much closer look at his life and the system that enabled him. Jeffrey Epstein first appears in any public capacity in July of 1980 when he's 27 years old, but the context is very strange. There's an article I found from Cosmopolitan magazine where he was listed as Bachelor of the Month with a tiny blurb and a black and white photo next to it. It says, financial strategist Jeffrey Epstein talks only to people who make over $1 million a year. If you're a cute Texas girl, write this New York dynamo at 55 Water Street, 49th floor, New York, blah, blah, blah. Because for the first 20 years of his career, Epstein garnered only occasional and brief mentions in the press. He had no real public recognition at all in the way that most high-level bankers might. And that's because there wasn't really a sensible explanation as to how he got there in the first place. Jeffrey Edward Epstein, born in Brooklyn in 1953, was the son of two working-class Jewish parents who, by all accounts, were completely normal. His mother, Pauline, worked a full-time job as a teacher's assistant while raising the kids, and his father worked for the City of New York's Parks Department as a gardener. Former friends and neighbors would use words like simple, humble, and gentle when talking about Epstein's parents, his brothers, and even Jeffrey himself. One former neighbor would later write that he was a nerdy little boy. People said that he was smart, overweight, always smiling, but mostly quiet. In high school, Epstein liked algebra and calculus, and he was on the math team, but his teammates would later describe him as not sticking out all that much. But he was smart enough to graduate high school in 1969, 2 years early, and he would then attend Cooper Union College, a very small school in Manhattan known for offering completely free tuition. He studied math there, although after 2 years he transferred to NYU, but he ended up leaving there after 3 years without any college degree at all. But within 2 months, Epstein had picked up a full-time job anyway. He had become a high school math teacher, not just at any school, but at one of the most prestigious in Manhattan, a school for the children of the elites. The students were the children of highly developers, politicians, people that could afford to pay a tuition equal to $50,000 a year today. By the time he started teaching at Dalton, Epstein was almost a completely different person. Basically, as a teacher, Jeffrey Epstein was a sleazy scumbag and a bit of a disaster. In the mid-1970s, students at one of New York's most esteemed prep schools were surprised to encounter a new teacher who pushed the limit, wandering the halls in a fur coat, gold chains, and an open shirt that exposed his chest. But it wasn't just a willingness to dress provocatively, it was how he interacted with students that left an impression on many of them for decades after. He was apparently popular among female students, as many young teachers might be, but the problem was that he not only embraced the attention, but also seemed to have chased after it. The story goes that at one point he even started showing up at students' parties, including ones where they would have been drinking underage. But before this private school teacher in his mid-20s could ever get involved in something that might implicate him in a serious way, Epstein was fired from the Dalton School for performance issues. He simply wasn't a good teacher. But at the same time, though, he was able to move his career in a way that I could only describe as failing upwards. Because if you fast forward about 20 years, Epstein was no longer this sort of aimless college dropout who had a reputation for being a bit of a creep towards students at the school he worked at. It was almost as if Epstein would go on to become a completely, literally different person. When you look deeper at how exactly Epstein goes from this disgraced school teacher to flying a jetliner around the world while he rubs elbows with the rich and famous, the puzzle pieces don't really fit together. It would only be